It is a little after 10 o'clock. I'm going to call the County Lands Advisory Committee meeting to order. Before we get into the meeting, I observed Susan's Trails presentation, PowerPoint, to the commissioners yesterday. To say it was outstanding and exceptional doesn't give her full credit. She just did an outstanding job on it. I think she represented the committee well, and I want to thank you and congratulate you, Susan, on just an extraordinary job.
Thank you.
All right. The approval of the March 23rd minutes. Is there a motion and a second to approve those minutes?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any errors or omissions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Okay. The reason that we're here today is to basically to finalize a grant application to the New Hampshire Charter Foundation. And Susan had taken all of our comments and put them into some semblance of order so that we can now read what exactly we had agreed upon. And so we've got before us, and Sandy had made a couple of comments as well on them. So I think we all have copies now. Ken, you?
The next one?
Can you give that to Ken? This is where we are at this point in time. And what I did do is I took what Susan had put together, and again, a great job, and I also took the PowerPoint grant writing workshop that I had gone to, that I had mailed out to everybody, and I went through that using also the Charitable Foundation's outline of what they were looking for. And so while I didn't write anything down, there are a couple of comments that I'd like to make. And I want to reiterate that I know nothing about grant writing here. But what I did do is I put myself in the position of someone who'd be reviewing and reading the grant, and did it meet all of these other criteria. So what I did in looking at this thing, like what Susan had sent us, the third paragraph down, to re-evaluate the use of the land and buildings, county government established a committee. And what I'm wondering, looking at the workshop, the description of your organization, I'm wondering if that paragraph should be first.
I'm wondering if we shouldn't say evaluate, not reevaluate.
Okay, all right,
Because I'm not sure it's ever was evaluated
okay,
modernly.
okay.
What do you think, Sam?
But I noticed as I read it again, we kind of define what it is we're trying to do, but we wait until we get into the third paragraph before we even decide, okay, who are we? Who is this committee or this organization that's going before in making the application for the grant? Sandy, go.
I like the way it's organized or sequenced right now, because the first paragraph talks about the history and some of the conditions that are on the ground at the moment. And then we get into what happened as a result. You know, the committee, this committee being established.
Mm-hmm. Other comments, other thoughts?
I think we need to be really careful. If we're asking for money for a feasibility study, that it not sound as if we have our own conclusions already. We want to sound open to what the feasibility study's conclusions are going to be.
Do you think the tone here disagrees with that?
A little, because it says here that we're going to make these rich resources an economic driver in one of the poorest counties in New Hampshire. Maybe, you know, maybe, we're not sure. If there was some way to investigate the possibility that they could become a rich driver or something, but just make it that that's not what we're trying to prove with the feasibility study. You're having a study because you don't know the solution.
Mm-hmm.
And here we're saying, oh, here's the solution. It's going to be an economic driver.
Well, that talks, this whole needs section is describing the need for the work,
Yeah,
okay? And that's obviously, we're not saying how it's gonna be done, we're just saying why we wanna have it done.
do you think it's going to become an economic driver?
Potentially. It, or part of one. It won't be the only one, of course.
It's such a statement rather than a, we could just,
Well, sometimes you gotta have that optimism.
well, I understand that, but it may, the feasibility study may say it doesn't need to be an economic driver.
Maybe we just say potentially make these valuable resources or rich valuable resources an economic driver.
Or potential economic, maybe a potential economic
Right.
driver.
Okay,
Is that okay for you?
sure, that sounds fine to me. How about everybody else?
Yeah. Well, we're on that paragraph, I want to make a comment. In one of the poorest counties in New Hampshire, and and I think we want to be careful with that.
Mhm.
Because the average weekly wage in Carroll County is the poorest in the state. But when you take family income, all of a sudden, we jump up into the middle
Because of the retirement.
because of the retirement people. What they're doing is they're bringing their retirement income and pensions. And so while we, if you're a working person in Carroll County, you're at the bottom. But when you throw in all these retirement incomes and so forth, we are not the poorest.
Well,
So I would
think about
suggest-
co-ops, aren't they even?
No, they're not. It's surprisingly, the last data shows Coas County has a higher weekly wage than we do.
Could we say in an economically depressed area?
We can play with the verbiage here, but I'm uncomfortable with the poorest county, because that just
Say
is,
poorer.
okay, poorer.
Okay, because that's true, right?
One of the poorer counties in counties in New Hampshire.
And instead of.
Well, actually, there's a grant available through NCIC right now for certain of the farming types, farmer types. And for one of the that grant category, you do not qualify if your household income is over $50,000 a year. You make too much money. That's just for Carroll County.
Yeah, because our average family income is over $50,000, surprisingly, against those retirees. But see, this ties, the data comes together. The last figures that I saw, Carroll County has the highest income, the highest age,
Yes.
median age of any county in the state.
Yeah, that's true.
We're over 50. In Rockingham County, it's 29. And it's those retirees that you were mentioning, Amanda, they're coming up here, and this is where they're retiring. So there's a lot of, demographically, there's a lot of distortion going on here.
Well, because we have our natives retiring, and many of them don't have a large retirement.
That's right.
But the people that come in to retire here bring a pretty large retirement.
Yeah. I'm only familiar with what's going on in the Mount Washington Valley, the 6 or 7 towns there. And some of the people that I know who are retired today were people who were born and raised in Carroll County but left
And maybe-
because there was more economic opportunity for them there. But they retire and they come back home. I know people like that. I also know people who over the years basically were well off, who bought second homes in the Mount Washington Valley with the idea, when I retire, this is where I'm gonna retire to. So I can see demographically this mix coming in. And as a result of that, the school population in the Mount Washington Valley is dropping. It is statewide, but it's also dropping. And we built this multi-million-dollar brand-new high school a number of years back, and now do we need it? But anyway, I digress. But the fact that demographics play a big role here in all of this, and we have to factor that in as well. Are there any other?
So do we want to stress that we are a poor county?
I'm sorry, what?
Do we want to mention that we are a poor county?
Well, that's a good question. Let's talk about that. Because there may be somebody who's going to evaluate this, grant this as well. You're not that poor. And so, you know, and we're not going to be putting the data in here to back a lot of that up.
Right.
So do we want to put that in there? We're making reference to something without having the ability to back it all up. Ken, don't be afraid to jump in here.
No, yeah, I keep reading it through.
Well, you know, where we said that we're finding the optimal use or uses of the county's lands and buildings
Yep.
to enrich the county economy?
Well, I like the resources, a potential economic driver, because it could be. It could be a potential economic driver. I agree that, you know, putting it as a given raises questions, but certainly the potential is there. So I like the subject between the word, or adding the word potential. But we're talking about one of the poorest counties. Do we really want to claim poorer? What is our justification for that?
Could we say something like a historically agricultural county? Because we were historically an agricultural county. but not anymore.
Well, historically, probably almost all of New
Almost
Hampshire
all
was an
the
agricultural
state
county.
ones.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, that's not a debatable thing, that's a positive
Yeah,
statement.
yeah.
We're actually one of the, well, no, I was thinking we're one of the smallest counties.
Land-wise?
Yeah, but I don't think we are,
I don't think so.
population-wise.
Population-wise, I think we are.
Probably 47.
I think Sullivan
47,000.
County has a few thousand fewer
Less?
people than we do, yeah.
How about in one of the
In
rural?
Coas County has a lot less people than we do.
Yeah, but what, can we say like in one of the more rural counties? Not say poorer, but more rural? Rural?
Yeah.
It sounds funny.
Keep saying
Sounds
it.
funny when I say it. I see it in my head, but it sounds
It's
funny
a
when
tongue
I say it.
twister.
It's spelled poor, and it's like, well, it looks right, because it's not underlined, but it didn't look right to me
Yeah.
either.
Well, I don't know if we could say that we're more rural, because we've got the Wolfboro area,
Mhm.
and then we've got the Mount Washington
Conway
Valley,
area,
the
yeah.
Conway area.
Are you really gonna compare Wolfboro and Conway to Manchester and Concord?
Or
No,
Rochester.
but it's the fact that there are those two population dense areas in the county.
Yeah, but are they population dense year-round? No.
No,
I mean, are we splitting hairs here?
Yeah.
I think we are.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Good
That's-
job.
Okay.
That's an area that I don't think we should really travel, because I think we're gonna get ourselves in trouble.
Well, I don't know, trouble, but I don't really think it's that imperative
Question.
to the,
Thank you.
to the scope of what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Can we just say a potential economic driver, period?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what you want, period after economic
Yeah.
driver?
Does that sound?
Potential economic driver, yeah.
and I would like to say, instead of making these rich resources, Why can't we just say facilitating the emergence? The word making doesn't sit right with me.
Okay.
Could we just say analyzing? Analyzing these rich resources as a
As
potential?
a potential economic driver. Yeah, that's better.
Say it again?
Analyzing instead of making?
Run that by me again.
Okay, it said, charge them with finding the optimal use or uses of the county's lands and buildings, analyzing these rich resources as a potential economic driver.
Okay.
And do we need a comma after buildings?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Analyzing these rich resources as a potential economic driver.
I feel like I'm in my 11th grade grammar English class right now.
Well, that's what
Ah.
it comes down to.
I know.
Yeah, take notes because there may be a test afterwards.
Okay.
And that's what we were doing, wasn't it?
Yeah. Now, the,
Anything else in that third paragraph that we
Yeah.
want? Okay, wait a minute.
well, the committee felt, I don't think we need all that. Can't we say that the committee,
Determined?
they could satisfactorily explore several of the ideas themselves? And they feel there are several categories beyond their expertise, and that doesn't limit us to the numbers.
Right.
You may not want to use the word several twice, but
Instead of saying most, say many, or several, say many.
you could, yeah. Because we had many, we could explore it, we haven't explored all of them, but.
And we have mixed tenses in that sentence. Felt, feel, and
Yep.
explored.
Okay, what about,
They felt two categories.
well, you got too many theys, because they are referring to the people in the community
Yeah.
and they referring to the committee.
Felt and feel is okay, because we felt in the past tense, because we talked about it before, so that's past tense. And then feel is because we don't think we can, as a group, think we can do this on our own. So, yeah, I think your felt and feel are okay there.
While the committee believes.
I was an English major.
Determined they could satisfactorily explore most of the ideas received themselves.
Yeah, we've
Maybe
got,
instead of felt, we should say that the committee realizes several categories are beyond their expertise.
That's good.
And that would be another sentence, right?
yeah,
Several categories.
Yeah. Rather than just two. Because by the time we get to give the directions for the feasibility study, we may have more than two. Or we might only have one.
So can you say the whole sentence again?
Probably not. The committee, oh,
Wow.
let's see.
While the committee realizes?
Oh, the committee felt
Oh, wait.
they could satisfactorily explore many of the ideas received themselves. Period. The committee,
We'll take out the word while,
yeah.
okay?
The committee realizes several categories are beyond their expertise to determine need, feasibility, and sustainability.
Comma, and would be best explored by a professional service.
So should we also just put down their expertise to determine feasibility? Because that's what we're asking for, is a feasibility study. And the need and the sustainability, won't that be part of the feasibility study?
It should be all part and parcel.
So is it repetitive? Beyond your expertise to determine the feasibility?
Well, no, I think it's good to have all three of those phrases and words in there.
Is sustainability part of the feasibility?
It
Can it be if we want it to?
should be if we wanted to.
It depends which things we want studied, if they're a possibly sustainable item. I mean,
We don't want to do something that isn't sustainable, do we?
We wouldn't want to.
well, it depends. I mean, do we wanna? Okay.
Do we need, I mean, we talk about a potential economic driver, and, I mean, are we making assumptions here? A potential economic driver wouldn't be a short-term thing, so it implies sustainability. It implies that this is something of a longer-term duration. We're not looking at the next quarter, or the fifth quarter, but, but we're looking at something that is gonna be a benefit year after year after year. So I think, so as I say, well, sustainability is implied. I don't see anything wrong in putting the word sustainability in there to make it concrete. That
What
this
if-
is what we're talking, this is one of the criteria.
What if we took out the word feasibility
Yeah, I like that, Amanda. Let's take feasibility out of there.
to determine need and sustainability?
Yes.
Sandy's thinking, that scares me.
No, I think we should leave it in.
Why, Sandy?
Katie felt they could.
Because something could be needed.
The ideas received themselves.
We're leaving needed in there, aren't we?
I understand.
Yeah.
There's the word now, but maybe we have
Um,
several categories that we want their expertise to determine need and
Okay, so
sustainability.
But the feasibility, actually what we're looking for is the feasibility and sustainability of the recommendations. We need to get the need is identified. Then they look for possible solutions,
We need wireless.
make recommendations, and then for the recommendations themselves, it's how feasible are they? I mean, somebody could make a recommendation that we put a 10 gigabyte solar farm here.
Right.
How feasible is that? And
That's
then
not
whether it's a
gonna-
sustainable solution or not. I think we need all three words.
I'm convinced. I wish you'd write these with numbers. I can do better with numbers.
Well, don't worry, we still got the number part to get to.
Did you get all that, Susan?
Yes.
Now, back to, your question was whether that should be the first or second paragraph, is that the?
Yeah, and as I said, I brought that up because looking at the spreadsheet, the PowerPoint for the PowerPoint of the grant application, it said the first thing is necessary components to any proposal. And the first one is description of your organization. And the closest we come to that is the very third paragraph, in which we give some definition of who we are and why we're here. And we wait until the third paragraph. Sandy doesn't see that as a problem, but I'm
No,
wondering.
I'm thinking.
Well,
Okay.
it can't be part of the executive summary. It can't be the first paragraph. That
No.
wouldn't make any sense. We have, as it stands, the second and third paragraph, we have a total of 243 words. We have 300 to use in that, answering those
Yeah.
question.
Can I just interrupt you there for a second?
No.
What I did is I brought down a printout from the website of the Charitable Foundation. And the opening comment, note, this document is to be used as a template or guide for preparing your express grant application. And is not intended to serve as your application. And we've been using this.
Yep.
And it's saying this is a guide. And then they go on to say, and it's not intended to serve as your application. So are they kind of contradicting themselves to some extent?
No,
Susan,
no,
go ahead.
they're saying they want this completed, the application completed online through their grant portal. They don't want a hard copy. They don't want you to take this and complete it like we're doing and then print it out and mail it to them. They want it through the portal only, that's all.
Right.
But they want these questions answered and they want us to limit ourselves with those numbers of
Okay,
words.
okay.
Can we go back to the first paragraph? Because when we use undeveloped land, I think of raw land, and this is actually agricultural land.
Using agriculture in broader terms, as most of it is forest land.
Right.
Okay.
Because so if we just put undeveloped, we put in agricultural instead.
But the way most people use the word undeveloped would mean that it's forested or fallow fields.
Or developed as in, it's now a neighborhood.
Right.
It's not that bad, Steve, come back.
I'm hiding.
Saying a prayer, I think.
There you go. Easter's coming up. It's never too late.
And Amanda,
Yeah,
when I hear the word agricultural, I tend to think of hay fields, cornfields, crop fields. That's the way I think of it. And I
but you
understand
know,
that.
tree farms are tree
I
farms.
understand. But
He's not here.
But I don't know about most, but many people, if they hear the word agricultural, they're going to think, crops, as opposed to forest.
And
When
this
I
co-
hear undeveloped, I think of, pretty much what Susan said, if it doesn't have a neighborhood on it, then it's undeveloped. But
In this context, undeveloped isn't a bad word. I think it's a good word. Because it's showing we have a clean slate, blank canvas to do whatever we want on. In the parameters of what we're setting out.
But I see how you can think of it as,
See, I-
not hayfields, and it's all
I
like
would not
forest.
consider my farm undeveloped, even though, there's a large part of it that's a forest, because it's a tree farm. It is developed, it's got a plan, it's got work. Our forest has a plan, it has regular harvesting going on. Would it be easier, would it be better, would everyone be happier if it said crop and forest land? See, that didn't go over well.
Forest and cropland? Because we do say that it's an act, in the next sentence, we talk about an actively managed woodlands.
Well, maybe if you leave it undeveloped, then the next two sentences kind of describe what the undeveloped is.
Right.
But I think there's 1,200 high bush blueberry.
Fine, I just put in the number that I.
1150.
How many?
1,150.
Yeah.
Okay.
You counted them, you counted them.
Well, I didn't count them, I'm just
I
relying
saw her out there the
on
other morning
Will.
counting them all.
And it was,
And
and
we
it
know
was
how
how many
many-
acres of hayfields? I said approximately, but
Will's told me 70, and I've seen 100, and I've seen 79.
What was in that
I think
forestry
it's
report? Because some of the ones in
75.
It was
the,
79 in the, excuse me, in the forest report.
yeah, because some of those in the forest report have been allowed to not be used.
Okay.
But yesterday we found out how many wetlands?
15 acres.
15 acres of
Okay.
wetlands. And I don't know, how do we, really give them the idea that these are wild wetlands, these are untouched wetlands, these are natural habitat wetlands? Because that's really valuable, I think.
I'm going to stress the next sentence, the land supports significant wildlife habitat.
That's true.
And the 894 acres, does that include the courthouse area, the,
The courthouse, we don't own.
No, but the land.
We
Oh,
don't
yeah.
own we don't own the courthouse land.
also, we,
Doesn't
That's-
around it,
that's,
What about the nursing home? and-
Yeah, all that
And
is-
the jail?
is
The
part of-
894 is considered all of
Okay,
that.
it includes everything,
Everything.
okay. Every acre that the
Okay.
county has, okay.
Now, what I'm not sure of, and I'm not sure if we're splitting hairs again, but the courthouse, that land was given to them, I think, so we might have had to take it away from the 894. Because I think that includes that as well. That was just maybe 15 years ago, 12 years ago.
Mhm.
Why don't we just say 850 plus acres or something like that?
okay, good.
Or we could say approximately 900,
That would also work, wouldn't it?
approximately.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna send a surveyor out to do it before they grant us
No,
this money.
no.
But I mean, it's true, it is approximately 900.
I don't think anyone really knows. So many numbers have been
Yeah.
thrown out.
Well, you know, as Mark says, I don't think somebody's gonna come up here and survey it to make sure how accurate we are with that. Basically, we're
You just
talking.
told me, Mark.
You did.
I do that all the time. I don't know why. I
Mark
apologize.
Dale, it's pretty close.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I apologize.
It's all right.
They have an A in common.
Okay. Going down a couple sentences, it says, these valuable resources aren't fulfilling their potential. And do we know that for a fact? Isn't that what the feasibility study is hoping to determine? And I'm wondering, if rather than saying these valuable resources aren't fulfilling their potential, saying something to the effect, it is hoped that the feasibility study will determine if these resources are fulfilling their potential. We're stating it as a fact,
It is a fact.
and we don't know that.
Of course we do.
No, we
Yes,
don't.
we do.
We don't?
We know
Those
that the
wetlands
hayfields-
may be, their full potential may be just what they're doing right
So
now.
you're gonna focus a whole grant feasibility application study on, what'd you say, 15 acres?
No, no, not
Right,
at
but
all.
we know the hay fields aren't, we know the blueberry fields aren't, we know the gardens aren't, we know we
The
know.
forest land is.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
An empty building,
We just, the thing with the forest land is we need a new forestry plan.
building was,
The old
Oh,
one
so we
is
know that's,
still working.
it's full potential, forestry land.
Do we know that?
I would say so, because first of all, we have the forestry plan.
Right.
That's
Bless you, Ed.
considered
Thank you.
best practice, use of forestry. We just got done doing a whole thing, our own little feasibility study on a trail system.
Okay,
So I would think that that would be pretty close to its maximum potential. And we don't want the feasibility study to focus on that. Right?
well, no, maybe we need to add something that they're gonna focus on, but that's part of me describing what we are. You know, the question you're trying to answer.
Mm. I mean, well, at this point in time, we're not looking to include potential energy use. What if somebody came in and said, take that 75 acres of hayfield and turn it into an enormous solar power grid system here?
Right
You can
across
provide-
28.
You can provide electricity for the whole of the county.
Right across 28.
Maybe, but the point is, you know, as I say, I'm not questioning that the reason for the feasibility study is to explore what the potential use is of the resource, but we're making a statement that they aren't fulfilling their potential, and we don't know that. That's why we want the study. So all I'm saying is not to get rid of fulfilling their potential, but I'm just wondering if we may want to not make that a positive statement, but say something in fact, it is our hope that the feasibilities will determine what that best potential is.
Can't we use the phrase from our statement, optimal use?
Okay,
We don't know what the optimal use is.
that's
Well,
what we're trying
that's
to find
it.
out. That's
Because
what we're trying to
Sandy was
find out,
saying
though,
that
isn't it?
the more often we use those phrases, the better.
Either the phrase or
Something similar
very similar to drive the point home.
to determine the optimal use of the,
Well, actually,
the valuable resources.
no. We don't know if they are or not, but the feeling is that they're not being used to
Yes.
their potential.
That's why we're here.
But if the feasibility study is going to determine the optimal use, that will tell us whether they are or not, right?
Yes.
Correct, but what Steve is talking about is this one sentence.
Yep.
The valuable resources aren't fulfilling their potential. That's what that's sort of like a gut feel.
Yeah.
But how do you say that? That we're concerned that they're not fulfilling
Mhm.
their potential.
The study will determine the optimal.
That's what we're hoping the
use.
study will determine. isn't it?
That's correct, but that's further down. Right now, this first paragraph is talking about
The need.
the need and the,
We need to determine the optimal use.
Set within our
actually, I would
parameters
like
what
to
we
take that
want
whole
it to be.
sentence, if we decide to keep it and move it.
Because if they come back and say, yeah, the best use for that land of your comment, 75 acres, is to put a solar farm on there, where are we then?
And a big argument.
Well, that's my point. That's exactly my point. I mean, that could very well be something that they come back and say, well, you should do this, this, and this, and
Yeah, but I think
it's totally
when-
outside of our scope of what we've been leaning towards.
But I think when we go down and we talk about what we want the feasibility to do, it's agricultural education
Yeah.
and agricultural
Yes.
production.
That's the focus. That's-
And there's
that's
no
the focus.
way turning hayfields into a solar farm is under those two categories.
Hey, guys,
Yes.
that one sentence, these valuable resources,
Yeah.
take it and move it to the end of that specific paragraph.
Okay.
So you say the
Say it
hayfields
again,
are,
Sandy.
you say the hayfields are degraded and gardens stand fallow. The blueberries have been neglected and aren't producing as they should. These valuable resources aren't fulfilling their potential.
Okay. That's a statement, that's I
Then that
go along
is-
with that statement, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, now the rest of it's all kind of, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to run very smoothly.
We're still on the second paragraph here, Amanda.
First one,
The first one.
the one after need, the one we just did, that sentence that we just moved. The next one says, historically, the county used the farm as a means for the population residing in the poorhouse to work on the farm and have food and shelter. That just kind of runs on and on and on. It's,
Do we need that?
Well,
I think that, you know, it kind of gives them an idea of what it was at one point.
yeah, it was the poor farm.
Yeah.
You could say historically, the farm is where the poorhouse was, historically, the farm was the poorhouse.
Well, actually, it was poorhouse, it was the poor farm, as opposed to a
Yeah.
house per se.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you say historically, the farm supplied food and shelter to the indigent?
So the farm provided what?
Food and shelter to the indigent, to the poor. But it wasn't just poor, because orphans were there, and mentally retarded, mentally
People were-
challenged
People
people
were,
there.
maybe, what about some of the elderly that didn't have family?
Right. Those just weren't capable of staying in their homes anymore.
Right.
So the farm provided food and the,
And there was living for.
And shelter,
facilities.
yeah, there was a
Food and
home.
shelter,
Right.
yeah.
I
And
don't
the
know if the
people,
farm provided the shelter.
well, the county,
Mm. I think it's fine.
and they did, you know, they hired people to run the farm as well as the people that were housed here.
And they rented land all over the place.
The county did,
Yeah, to
feed those
to
people.
work in conjunction with this property
Hmm.
up in Granite.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they had potato fields up there, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Up where the Wattons are doing their stuff now.
Susan?
Are we planning on staying after 12?
I don't know, why?
Because my biggest problem with this so far is the project description. It's very, very weak.
Yep.
It's the largest part of the application. And there's just no teeth in it.
And there's some of the things that they want in there are missing entirely.
Well, key players are there. They're not
Timetable?
Professionals, well, timetable, no, is not there, because we didn't talk about that. but
Right.
The committee's there, professional services there, those are the key people.
Major activities. But I tend to agree with Susan that we need to move on to that section.
Yep, I agree.
But what about, can we leave that one just for a minute and go to the other two? Because those are
Which-
shorter,
Yep,
the timeliness and then the results.
yep.
What ones are you making reference to, Sandy?
The last two
The next
sections.
two, yeah, timeliness, why is a strategic time for the foundation to invest? And what results do you expect?
Okay, let's jump to timeliness then. I got a question right out of the gate on timeliness. And that is, this is a strategic time for the Charitable Foundation to invest in this region in general. And someone needs to kind of explain that to me a little bit. What are we making reference to here specifically?
Carroll, she's talking about
Just
Carroll.
talking about Carroll County being more rural and
Uh-huh.
more of a poor
Mhm.
county. But I mean, that can be struck, just talk about, it's a strategic time for NHCF to invest in this Carroll County lands project.
Oh,
That follows
sorry.
everybody. As it stands, all those words we have there under timeliness there are 124 words. So obviously, we might want to reword them, but we've got another 25 to 26 to play with.
And maybe we take some of them out too, like the
yeah.
food security thing?
That was just a reference, somebody
Yeah,
brought that
I
up.
realize that.
Yeah.
But that could also be implied in the next paragraph.
Mhm.
Um,
Food security, health, food safety, and healthy
Yeah.
lifestyle are all concerns. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that sentence, the health, food safety, and healthy lifestyles goes up into the timeliness.
It's all part of it. These are all good general sentences, but it doesn't.
Sandy, can we take that sentence that says, these concerns have contributed to an explosion, and somehow incorporate the need for agricultural education into that sentence? Or,
Well, not only agricultural professional education, but consumer education.
when I say agricultural education, I think of both
You think of
the
both, yeah.
consumer and the farmer.
Yeah.
But,
What we want to do is get in there somewhere, in terms of why this is a strategic time, is, we haven't brought this up before, and I'm not sure if it goes in here, but has anybody read about the reorientation of what the Thompson School down at UNH is gonna be doing?
yes.
What are they gonna be doing?
They're closing out their Culinary Institute. They're closing out a number of their other two-year certification programs.
And turning them into 4 years.
Well, not all of them. They're
Some are
just-
being eliminated.
Some are being eliminated because there are other places to get that education. They're keeping their forestry. And they're keeping their 4-year agricultural program, but their 2-year one is going away.
Did they identify some of those other places that they feel they can get this,
No.
No,
with
they
this service,
did not.
this duplication?
They made vague reference to some of the community colleges and, similar types of activities or
Mhm.
programs. But that could open up the need for some of those other activities, say here.
Yes.
And I'm just trying to see if there was a way that we could bring that into our grant statement here.
I would assume that the people doing the feasibility study will be
We'll
made
do that.
aware of
Oh,
that.
yeah, I'm sure they know.
And they would include that in their study.
But this is also a reason why something that we could put in here about this is a good time.
To fill in the holes in the
Okay.
Yeah,
agricultural
Oh, okay.
education.
You're
Yeah.
tying into this Thompson Schools revamping their programs.
Right.
Okay. And on the basis that this may create a void out there in the county level, we may help people to fill that void.
Correct.
That's your emphasis, okay,
Yeah.
okay. That's the direction, okay.
I just don't know how to word it.
Do we want to name Thompson School particularly?
Well, we could just say something like Did you find it?
Should we keep it pretty, again, are we making it too specific? Should we keep it more broad? And, I mean,
Well, if I'm understanding you correctly, Sandy, and to some extent Amanda, the Thompson School is revamping its programs.
Oh, yeah.
Eliminating some of those programs.
yeah.
And so that
I
may
thought
create a
it-
void, and possibly, our feasibility study will determine whether we can help to fill that void at the county level.
Exactly.
Okay,
Correct.
so yes,
That's why
I think
it's a
we should
good-
leave the Thompson School in there, because it's no longer grabbing something. We have a specific change that's taking place that could impact the services
It's at
that
the-
we offer.
And it's at the, right,
Yes.
so this would be a strategic time
Yes,
to
yes,
explore
okay,
that.
all right. See, now that's something
Oh, I
specific.
like that
So I
word,
like that,
explore.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's a reality.
Yes.
We know that, so, yeah. I would, on the timeliness, I would include that in there, because it answers the question that I had starting out with this about, what's the, what is this, why is this a strategic time? You've answered the question, why
Well,
this
that
could
is-
be a
That's
strategic
just,
time.
that's one.
Yes,
The other one
Yeah.
is all of these new and beginner backyard farmers.
yes, yeah,
You know,
It's
Yeah.
also the continued growth of the local food movement.
mhm,
The whole second paragraph.
Right, right.
yes. Putting food security in that second paragraph. Ron, having
Well, it
to
says
spin
now,
that.
food security, health, food
Yes.
safety, and healthy lifestyle concerns drive an increasing
Yeah.
preference to know the origin of one's food.
Yeah,
Local is green, fresher, safer, and good.
did you got that website that I sent you the other day,
Mm.
yesterday?
but the actual backyard farmer needing help and education.
Yes.
Is increasing, because
Yeah.
more, I mean, my God, you go in the hardware store and they're selling chicks, and people are buying them and
Yeah,
taking them home, and it's like, how long do I leave the lights on? Can I shut the lights off in a week? And it's like, no, they gotta have all their feathers, and, so they need,
yeah,
yes, they can call the cooperative extension and get those answers, but it would be really neat if there was a place that they could attend an 8-hour class on life of a chicken, from hatching your own eggs to slaughtering them or something.
yeah, yeah.
That would, I think, help. Same way with, they buy a couple of baby goats, and then it's like, oh, well, how long do I feed them on a bottle? I get calls and it says, well, it's been 2 months now, and can I take them off the bottle? Like, are they eating hay? Oh, yeah, But, so I think, just to have those little, even a 4-hour classes, having a place. That's the thing that we ought to look and see if that's a need. It may not be a need. I mean, the extension may be satisfying. Local farmers may be satisfying. New and beginners farmers may be satisfying. Or maybe there needs to be that. So I don't know how to say that, but that's.
Say it in 39 words.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how to say things in 39 words.
That's all we got.
Well, under the timeliness, the second paragraph there, which kind of is the guts of this whole thing, what it is we're talking about. And there does seem to be greater interest in those activities. As you're talking, Amanda, more and more people may be buying those chicks and so forth in their own gardens. So there is greater concern about our diet, our food, where it comes from, making that connection.
can I ask a question?
Sure.
Who's running this school? Let's just say they come back and say, yeah, you can have a school at the county farm. Who's running the school?
That's a question that's got to be answered. And that might be included in that's a question we may want to ask in the feasibility study as well. Because yesterday, when Susan was giving her exceptional presentation on the trail, Commissioner Hounslow, who was sitting here, basically asked 2 questions. And one of them was, is the county expected to be involved in this? And number 2, where's the funding going to be coming from? And so, those are questions somewhere along the line, I think we've got to answer.
Well,
Well, we've discussed that because we've discussed two approaches to the education. If there is an entity here farming, part of that entity should have an educational opening, an educational possibility.
right, so that would be a non-certified weekend day seminar on stuff.
Well, for example, if you wanted to come in and raise goats,
Right,
part of your thing would be, okay, you can come here and you can raise goats.
right, so that's sort of like a seminar thing, that's, because I'm not an accredited,
Right.
so that's sort of like a weekend thing.
Workshop.
Right,
Yeah.
Or it could be something like you went to visit where a large part of that farm was actually geared towards education, right?
which one, the one in Bedford?
Yes.
Yeah,
So I think, and I think that was one of the things I was gonna say later on. I think when we put down here, we don't wanna say an agricultural learning center. We need to just say agricultural education, because we're not exactly sure what that's gonna look like. It may be, the man up here that's tapping trees. We might say, okay, from now on, when you tap the trees, at least one afternoon or something, you have to have a program available for other people that want to tap trees.
no, I understand all that, but the way I, listening for the past 20 minutes, it seems like, and now that Sandy's brought up, what she brought up about the Thompson School, how are we going to, I'm all for putting it in the feasibility study, but looking down the road, the feasibility study says, yeah, this would be something feasible and sustainable you could do. Is the county in a position to do that financially?
I don't think the county would, I think the county would find an entity that does that, such as happened down there with the municipality. They own the land, but they're not involved with that educational farm. Correct?
What was brought up yesterday in Susan's presentation was Mark threw it a 501c3. This was basically going to be a nonprofit entity that I think Mark was exploring. They would be responsible for the trail network,
Overseeing it, yeah.
overseeing it. And I think Susan and I discussed this, and taking that to the next level, why wouldn't we want to explore that as something that would basically oversee all of the things we're looking at here? The educational center, the agricultural aspect of this whole thing, because as I say, I'm getting a sense from what was said yesterday at the commissioners meeting in Mark McConkey, the delegation, that these are areas that at this point in time, and that could change, but county government has a hesitancy to all of a sudden be involved in the oversight and the running of these, and also being dependent on to do the financing. Am I capturing that correctly,
I think so,
Amanda?
and I think if you have a separate entity, I don't care if
Yeah,
it's a fund
yeah,
or.
yeah, yeah. It could be a farmer's co-op, could be
Could be all
other
kinds of things.
Yes, exactly.
But in either case, if there were things that were needed and they would come to the county and ask, could you help with this or that, or, minor. I'm not saying let's build a new barn or something like that. But, I think the county, both the delegation and the commissioners would be open to that type of an operation. When he said that yesterday, and I asked Ken on the way to Concord, I said, how do you set one of those up? I mean, it's totally foreign to me. And I got to doing some research, and I think Remick Farm is like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and they have a board of directors.
Yeah,
and-
yeah. They're a separate governing body.
Yeah.
And they do. I think you're right, Dale. In fact, they have a board of directors, they have offices and so forth. It's just a nonprofit corporation. That's essentially what it is.
Well, it's like, 4-H is the same way. We're investigating becoming part of 4-H, and when I do that, I automatically, under their, being under their umbrella, thanks for the visual, become a 501c3. I can do whatever I want under their umbrella, and they file all the tax work, the paperwork, because I'm a 501c3 at that point, as the 4-H aspect of my farm. Or anything that comes to the kids, I become a 501c3. I can fundraise, I can do all this stuff, and it's covered under the 4-H. So is that kind of where the commissioners are heading? Is
Well,
the-
no, and that's what this feasibility study
Exactly.
is going to be able to help at least give some
And-
guidelines. And they may
yeah,
say, no, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Put it in a rocket ship to the moon.
You brought up a good point though, Dale, and as we've looked at this, and time is going, we have talked about the feasibility study, but that important component, the governance and the funding, we've never discussed at all. And what I would hate to see is the feasibility study be completed, is presented to the commissioners, and Mark or Dave or you say, okay, we've got all this, but how's it gonna work? How's it gonna be functioned? How's it gonna be governed? Are we gonna do this? Is somebody else? I think we need to have that component in there as well.
That's where I was
I don't
headed.
think we do. I think what we need to do is keep the open mind, get the feasibility results.
Yeah.
Look at them. Now, the worst case scenario, we spend the money, we get the feasibility result, and we sit here and we go, nope, it isn't gonna work. We should have done it ourselves, and go from there. You know, that's the worst. The best is they're gonna come up with stuff, and we're gonna say, oh, wow. Now, how can we make that work? How can we do this? It's just like Susan with the trails. She came up with the idea, here's the trails, now how do we make this work?
So who does that? Is that us, or is that the three of you?
Well, I think in the case of the trails, the commissioners kind of said, well, yeah, continue on with what you're doing and let us know your next step. And they seemed, my impression was they were in favor of doing the first 3 steps that Susan had listed that we would do. And kind of thinking that Susan and the trail subcommittee would organize that and then bring it back to them. No, that seems to be my impression, what they said. Do you agree?
Well, as we were leaving, if you recall, I asked Mark to clarify, because his questions seem to be focusing more on the governance of this whole thing, and also the funding. And it was my impression from Mark that, at least speaking just for him, he wasn't speaking for the commissioners as a whole, but his own thinking is that he did not want to see the county involved in governing and overseeing all of this. He wanted some other entity to do that. And he also didn't want the county financially obligated to fund any of the activities there as well. That was my sense of this. And when I asked for the clarification, I said, before we leave, I just want to be sure that I understand, and it was the funding and the governance. So getting back to a comment I made earlier, what I would hate to see, without any recommendations whatsoever, is to present this to the commissioners, the final report, and Mark, and maybe speaking for others, saying, okay, how is this going to be set up? Are we going to be saying, well, that's up to you as the commissioners to make that decision, how you're going to do it? Okay, you're comfortable with that, without any sort of input, without any recommendation. This would be the pros and cons of a 501c3, or maybe a farmers co-op or anything else.
Well, I think those would be the next steps.
Okay, who would be those next steps,
I don't
Amanda?
see any
Who would-
dictatorial process here at all.
Okay.
You know, I think it would be more, almost laissez-faire, because I think that's the way it was presented yesterday with the trails. It was, okay, so here are your ideas for the first 3 steps. Go ahead and do some work on those and get, let us know how it's working out. And, and then if somebody on the board has some ideas or whatever, I'm sure they'd be very quick to bring them forward.
Okay.
Can you refresh my memories on the, because I wasn't here yesterday, the 3 steps that they gave you an okay to go ahead with? The next 3 steps?
Handicap trail.
The handicap trail, finish the loop
Yeah.
behind this building, and review and inventory the current trails.
Okay, so we have permission from the commissioners right now to go out and find volunteers or wherever we can to finish that handicap trail.
That was my understanding, is that yours?
Yes, and you have
$3,700.
Yeah, money to do it.
Okay.
Wow.
$3,775.
So neither one of you got a sense that Mark was also looking for answers to some of his questions?
My understanding was he said that actually developing the trails was not committee work. That there should be the committee would be the connector between the commissioners and this other entity. He kept saying a 501c3, that doesn't have to be that, but it's not the subcommittee that's gonna take this project and
So is he
put it on the
looking,
land. He's looking for another,
is he looking for a panel similar to the committee to oversee all activities on county property?
No.
Talk about
just
the trails.
He was just.
Right,
talking
right,
about the trail.
As far as, I am too, but it's on county property. So is that what you think he was in, okay.
Okay, now can we get back to the feasibility?
Well, I think it's all connected.
Yes,
It's all
I
connected.
agree there, I think it is too.
Because
Okay.
we need to know what the three of you are thinking. I mean, this educational facility, I mean, do we have use of the nursing home as far as classrooms and buildings for this? Or is it gonna cost money?
Well, this is part of what the feasibility study is going to tell us.
But if they say, yeah, it is feasible, do we have the facility to do that?
I believe that all three, I'm really going out on a limb when I say that, but I believe all three commissioners and most of the delegation are in favor of exploring ideas as to what to do here. That's what this whole feasibility is about, is exploring what the committee has decided are sensible ideas that could be looked at. And, the fact that we're focusing on the agricultural education and the agricultural production, I think is compatible with their thinking. Now, somebody may see this film and come and tell me that I'm crazy, and that's perfectly possible. But that was my sense all the way along, that what this committee's been doing, as reported back to the commissioners by myself and as reported back to the delegation by Mark, is acceptable to the people on the board, right? Is that what you think?
Yeah, but I think Dale's looking for like rooms and stuff that's on
Right,
plan.
I mean, exactly.
You're not talking about the new nursing home, you're talking about the.
No, yeah, not the new one, no.
I want, this is a good discussion, but I want to get back to Susan's point. Tempest fugit here. We've got to work on this. We've got to get this grant application out. We can discuss those other things later, but you brought up some good points there. And I think, but we want to get this going. I think your question is, do these want to be included in the feasibility study? But anyway, okay.
Can I make
Timeliness.
one statement about this?
Yes.
Can we change any place where it says agricultural learning center just to agricultural education? That opens it up and makes it,
Okay.
do I have that like that in there?
someplace you had agricultural learning centers, so I don't know. Just replace all of that with agricultural education.
I see agricultural education
Agricultural
center.
Educational Center for students and public. I don't see anything. Learning center.
And the timeliness, the very last paragraph there, where we define food security, health, food safety, lifestyle, and so forth. I wrote in as the very last thing, and we can, and that is getting back to the point where there's a potential economic driver here. And that is a more energized agricultural community that meets more of the local needs. It's keeping money in the community as well. Because now, and so it ties it back to that potential economic driver. And it expands it on it as well. So I would just think about keeping money in the community, or in the county. We can say come out county.
Can I borrow that, Steve? Do you have that written down?
I haven't written it down yet. I'll need it back, but.
Yeah, I'll get it written down.
We may want to say keeping money in the county.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So I was right. All right, I just thought you had the whole thing you just said,
Yeah.
not just that part.
Yeah.
And there's one of those, that second line on that page under 4-H Animal Science says Agricultural Education Center. Can we just say agricultural education?
Where are you now, Amanda?
The top of that page,
Oh, just
The
take out the
second
word
bullet.
center.
Okay,
yeah.
Wait, what do you want?
Just agricultural education for students in public.
okay.
Why take out center?
Because I think that's too specific. That, hopefully, that's what the feasibility study might come back and
Okay.
say.
Okay,
But they might say,
yeah, I hear you.
But that, to the strategic, I don't know how to put that into new farmers may need local assistance.
Well, you saw the thing I gave you? Yeah.
Yeah. Impending changes at UNH's Thompson School may result in an expanded regional need and opportunity for the discontinued programs.
Oh, nice, I like that.
Okay, anything else under timeliness? Okay, can we move on to results?
I think the first sentence in that is very good.
Yeah.
It's the second sentence I don't like.
Oh, fallow land?
What would you propose in the second sentence, Amanda?
Well, that's a like, the project is the feasibility study.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to give us direction.
Yep.
We don't know what that direction is going to be. It may
Mhm.
say, make a bird sanctuary out here.
Yep. Right, so we're making an assumption here as to what the results of the feasibility study are going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that makes sense.
Oops.
So
Any
we
other
really
thoughts
need-
on
Are
that?
you really thinking then that we would need to take out everything after the word residence?
I think that's what Amanda's proposing, just that second sentence.
No, take out the rest of it too.
Oh, the food hub? Oh, I think-
Nope, look at down in the following paragraph.
Yeah, because we don't know. We don't know if they're gonna want an education.
Well, under that last sentence, shouldn't we be putting an agricultural in front of educational center to more clearly define? We've talked about agricultural center without, but in the very last sentence, it just says center, an educational center. So now we're talking about a broader term for educational.
Again, when we say looking towards the future, we're assuming we know the answer to the feasibility
Correct,
study.
that's correct.
And we,
But what we could say
Okay.
is that this, when you say educational center on the campus, that's something specific.
yes,
But
that
the whole
last-
about nurturing the next generation.
Yeah, I like that.
That is wonderful.
Yeah. And I think that is what the feasibility study is going to allow.
Okay.
Feasibility study itself won't, but it will point us in the direction.
Okay, run that last sentence by me again here.
Looking towards the future.
The feasibility study should give knowledge that will help the next generation to become good stewards to the county's immense and valuable resources.
Well, if we implement the recommendations.
Well, it'll give the knowledge because it'll tell what they are,
Mhm.
even if,
Okay, run that by me then, Amanda. The feasibility study will.
the results of the feasibility
Okay.
study will give
Will
knowledge.
provide.
Will provide knowledge
Towards,
this generation and the next generation.
Could we just leave everything in there and change the word will to could?
I think we need to take out agricultural center though.
On the last paragraph?
Mhm.
I think that should be the feasibility study. Because it's not just the agriculture, it's the feasibility study results.
Could.
Could.
Okay, could,
And on the fallow land sentence, the fallow lands could be back in production depending on the results of the feasibility study. Because we're gonna steer the feasibility study to study these two things, because this is kind of what we want them to come up
Exactly,
with.
exactly. It's only gonna be studying both of those
Right.
things. And agricultural,
agricultural stuff. And it
Education.
could say, you know, like I said, have a bird sanctuary
Right.
and then everything
Could.
would stay
That's why
fallow.
we
Yeah.
take out will and put could.
And actually, in the previous paragraph where it says community will reconnect, you just say, take out will, and just say reconnects, plural.
Where's that again?
The last sentence.
Last sentence in the
After the
next to
fallow
last.
lands.
Yeah.
How about, and opportunities for our community to connect?
That's awkward.
See, mine, I don't write letters.
Is that horse dead yet?
I hope so.
We've beaten it pretty hard.
So, let me read what I have. The project will result in a written report which will provide the county with recommendations and a guide for the optimal use or uses of the county's land for the benefit of county taxpayers and residents. Fallow lands could be back in production and our community could reconnect with the land. The results of the feasibility study will provide knowledge. Help me, I didn't get it all down.
Oh, could nurture this generation and the next generation.
Which could nurture.
Future generations,
yeah, future generations, yeah,
This generation and future generations.
or this and future?
yeah.
Oh,
this
yeah,
and
that's
future
good.
generations, yeah,
So we take out the phrase looking toward the future?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And And I think that last sentence is basically the goal everybody wants.
Mm-hmm. Mean good stewards.
Mhm.
Yep.
So can we go back to the description?
Oh, I thought we were done now.
Project description, no.
I know. I was kidding.
There's the biggie.
We've got 35 minutes to do
Project
project
description.
description and the budget.
Oh, well, we did the budget, didn't we?
Well, we know that it's a maximum of 20,000.
Yep,
What we don't have is a timeline.
Well, that's part of the description there.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is 500 words and we got one sentence.
okay. The top of the second page, starting with for each animal, agriculture, is that basically what we see, the guts of the project description?
Well, those are the things that we were talking about, that they could,
That's right, from the matrix, those.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they collectively go into two major areas, which is production agriculture
And education.
And
and
education.
agricultural education.
Yeah.
So I think we should leave it at those broad topics as opposed to getting down to details.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's not let the 500-word maximum scare us. The
Oh, you don't
quicker
have
we
to
get
go
to
up
our
right.
point, the better off
If-
we're gonna be.
If we can do it in 250 or
We
300,
have,
that,
right, I mean, there are projects out there that are very detailed that I'm sure people are gonna be looking for this money for. But we are not. We are looking for a very broad-based feasibility study on these topics,
Yep.
period.
yep,
So don't let we don't need to get 460 words. The quicker we can get to our point, the better, because they won't have to read so much.
Right.
All professors like that.
Do you think we can have the timetable done within a year? I mean,
We
the,
have to.
feasibility study.
Doesn't it have to be done by the end of this year?
Whenever we get the grant, it has to be used within a year. So, yeah, so we have to, otherwise, yeah, I don't know the otherwise.
Well, you can file for an
Well, what-
extension.
You know, one of the things that we have not talked about, and that is the RFP, the request for proposal. And that basically, okay, we've submitted this, we get the money, the Kendall Foundation kicks in, and all of a sudden we look at $20,000. The next step is the request for proposal, what they call the RFP. Now you put that all together, and this is what we're gonna be sending out basically to get bids on. And in that, we specifically outline what it is we want them to look at. And part of that is the timeliness. Okay, when do we want this done? Do we want it done in 3 months, 6 months, 5 months, whatever? But we determine when we want the final report on our desk to study and review. So it's not just open-ended.
On our desk or the commissioner's desk?
Well, it comes to us, and then we go to the commissioners with it.
Okay.
But yes, you know, 1 week it comes to us, the next week it goes to the
Right.
commissioners at the next meeting. Now it's theirs. But what we have not discussed, and there's no reason to, and that is, by submitting this, we're not all done. We've got that RFP, that request for proposal, it's got to clearly, specifically outline what it is we want done in that feasibility study. We're giving somebody their marching orders. This is what we want.
Well, not only that, we have to issue the RFP. Somebody has to review any responses. You gotta figure out how long you're gonna give people to respond.
Yep.
Okay, we have a process
Good, good.
for that.
Good.
And what will happen.
The magic words, I mean.
Yes, we have a process, we have a process for receiving RFPs and for, there's a time period
Yep.
to have the department head and Ken, which I would assume would be this group, and Ken look at them and then bring the recommendations to the commissioners.
Yep.
So there's a process for all of
Good.
that.
Yes.
And then
Okay.
the county has to sign a contract or negotiate a contract with their selected
Yep.
whomevers.
Yep.
Then we have to set up a time frame, like you were talking about.
Yep.
That should be in the RFP.
It should be in the
Yes.
RFP, for sure.
Exactly. Yep. Now, as I said, the first committee, and I know we emailed this to everybody, but I'll do it again. The first committee did put together an RFP, which I think is a good starting point. We may
Yeah.
take a look at that and say that solves everything. But since we're focusing on maybe a few different items here, we may want to review that to make some changes. But that RFP from the original committee clearly spelled out everything, what we're looking for. And I know months back I sent that to everybody, but I'll send it again.
That was for a food hub, though.
I think it was more than a food hub, Amanda. I can't remember, but it was. But again, it's a good starting point for this
But
committee.
how, we have to determine how long we're going to spend on getting that RFP prepared.
Yes.
And should we work on that before we know that we're gonna get the grant funding or not? It'll shorten our
Killing me,
time.
Sandy.
No.
Okay, I don't think we should work on it today, though. I
No.
think we should work on it
no.
today.
Talking about the
That's not what she's
process.
No,
saying.
but what she's
What we're
saying-
saying is, should we
the
work
ti-
on that before we get the approval for the grant?
Correct.
That could very well be. Why
It
not?
would save
Why not?
time.
I would
Exactly.
like to see this,
Susan.
When are these
thing in
grants
hands
awarded?
by the 1st of December.
With,
I think they said within 6 weeks of submission. Why does that number stand out
yeah,
like that?
it's 6 weeks to a month from submission.
Yeah.
But,
So April 1st. I mean,
there's that one. Then there's the Kendall Foundation.
There are
Once
others.
we submit this to Charitable Foundation, do we notify Kendall that we have in fact submitted it?
Yeah, I was intending to do that.
Okay,
Yes.
so that hopefully,
They'll use the same application.
well, I don't know what we have to give to the
Yeah,
Kendall.
I don't know what we need to give the Kendall Foundation. He made, what I interpreted, a basic statement is, we will match what the Charitable Foundation does. So, if that's true, then I don't know what sort of an application process we will need with them.
Ooh,
Okay.
yes.
So, do you think that we could be ready to, we should have the feasibility study done by December 1st of 2018?
It just depends a great deal on how long it takes for
Yeah, exactly.
all of the other steps to
Yeah.
get going.
But we don't need to make that decision today, but we do need to make the project description done today. So let's get back to the project
Well,
description.
we do need to make that decision today because in order
They want a
for them to
timetable.
know,
They want a timetable for the
right,
work.
exactly. So we do need to figure out when we want the work done by. Because they want to know how long we're going to be sitting on their money before we spend it.
And actually, does anybody know, is it a reimbursement situation? Or do they,
No,
Front
it's,
to-
No,
up
if the
front.
grant's a grant, yeah, you get that.
well,
send
some of
the
them are
money.
reimbursables.
well, I'm
Yeah,
I'm
we have
looking
a lot
at
of reimbursable grants here.
Express Grant that,
Okay, then let's pick a date.
Can we say that we
I just
want to
don't
have
know.
a funding report done 1st of April, 1st of May, 1st of June? June 1st, we should know.
Well,
Oh, okay, so that we would know by the beginning of June if we have the funding or not.
June 1st, we should say, okay, we've got a funding report for June 1st, and we take that amount of money, whatever it is, hopefully, it's 20 grand.
Mhm.
And then we do the RFP, and we have that submitted by July 1st.
Yep.
And then
Does it take another month to go through the contracting?
to have it returned, the RFP results, July 15th, and then August 1st, we pick the researcher, whoever's gonna do it, whatever you call them, and then ask them to have it done by December 1st. That would be August, September, October, November, December, that's 5 months. They would
Mhm.
certainly, I would think, have it done in 5 months.
That sounds reasonable.
Ken, you're looking,
Could we move it up a month to November 1st, do you think? Because if there's funding we have to get, then we need to put it in the budget.
We
It wouldn't
have-
be funding from the
We
county.
have the $10,000 encumbered.
But,
yeah, it's already coming, it's already encumbered in, they're already in.
well, I'm just looking at more funding. If we need to build a building or whatever, I mean, we need to know it's,
oh,
or you want to wait another year.
yeah,
Oh, I see, yeah, I got you.
the thing is that to give you a
start-
report's still gonna take some time to think about it.
So if maybe we made we had to see the report by November 1st
A draft?
from the research, the feasibility
Feasibility study, we
study.
need to see that by November 1st?
Yeah, and that would give us some
That's
time to
4 months for
peruse
them to
it.
do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could peruse it real quick and go, oh, wow, they think we ought to put in a 10-stall barn. Wow, we don't have that kind of money, we're gonna have, let's see, how can we do this? And we find out, well, look, we can get a grant, but you gotta build the barn first. Then we can go to Ken and say, you know, Ken, we're thinking here, we wanna build this barn, and we can get a grant, but you ought to put some money in the budget, just.
Put in money for a 10-stall barn now, and then we'll be good to go, we'll be covered.
That's the
Amanda?
budget.
What was the timeline that you had laid out?
Okay, we'll have all the funding established by June 1st.
Okay,
And that will determine the RFP. So we'll submit the RFP July 1st.
time out, if we work now to get the RFP
Yeah.
itself written, then by the middle of June, we should be able to issue the RFP.
Exactly. I'm with you, Sandy. I
But
think if
I'm
we
just saying, the
look on
time, we
RFP
need to give them, not necessarily the timeline we're actually gonna follow, but we need to give them a timeline.
yes, you're right.
And I think if we're ahead of the timeline, I don't think they're gonna object.
No.
If we get behind,
Exactly.
they're gonna probably get a
Exactly.
little.
Exactly.
So that's why I said July 1st,
Okay.
we would distribute the RFP.
Yep,
We would get the results by July 15th.
is that sufficient time? I don't know how,
2 weeks.
what the advertising
2 weeks
of
would be
this
valid,
is. I
yeah,
don't know how
for
they.
an RFP, 2 weeks is usually a good result. isn't it?
All depends what it is. I mean, if it's something that's gonna be, a lot of work to put in to do the research, to read it. If you get say you get 2 bids, and then and they're like this thick, I mean, it's gonna take you a while to go
Well,
through.
no, from the time we submit the RFP till we get the bids back.
Oh, for something like this?
I'd go 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'd go an extra week.
3
Yeah.
weeks instead of 2.
Normally it is 2, but for something like
Okay.
this.
So we could make it July 7th. And then,
No, that
No,
would
the
be.
other way.
The other way.
21st.
Yeah.
July 21st.
no, I said July 1st.
Was
To
the
issue
RFP
it.
going out?
Oh, and the return would be July
21st.
15th, so it would be the 21st. And then we can pick the researcher. Can we do it in a week? Can we do it in 10 days?
We should be able to if we have some material ahead of time to.
Okay, so August 1st, we pick our researcher, and we say, okay, we want it done by November 1st. And we'll tell them we want it done by November 1st in the RFP. So they can't come in and say, oh, well, we're so busy, we can't do it until August or next year or something.
How long does it generally take to get a contract signed?
About a week.
Okay.
See, yeah.
As long as I get the documents ahead of time, so they can be read prior to.
Yeah.
And we'd have to write a recommendation, we'd have to write a reasons as to why we recommend this researcher. And we'd have to involve Ken on that,
Mhm.
so that he could.
So it'd be only a week to get that done?
I would think. If we have the stuff,
Yeah, I mean, if you have everything.
then we send the information to the commissioners, the only one have to
Right,
approve this,
yeah.
right? Because the delegation's just gonna approve the money.
Right.
So we get to pick the researcher. So, and then November 1st,
Get a draft?
now ask for the final report. If they're gonna start August 1st.
How much time are
Well,
we
no, you
giving?
figure they're-
4 months.
4 months to do
August
this?
1st.
You figure
November.
they're-
To do the
you figure
study?
they're gonna start around the middle
No.
of
Oh,
August?
yeah, okay, August,
3 months.
October. No.
3
August,
months.
Say what, Sandy,
Yeah,
I'm
3
sorry.
months.
They'd probably start around the middle of August.
I would think it shouldn't take more than 3 months for them to do the study.
How long did it take Roxy Severance to come back with her?
A couple weeks.
I would think 3 months would be sufficient. And, if,
Is this something we could call one of the potential bidders and be like, we're potentially gonna be putting this out for bid. If we gave you something like this, how long would you need to do a complete feasibility study? And then we would have a more concrete answer?
Rose Wilson, a while back, sent us a rough outline of that, which I think I sent to everybody as well. That's how I come up with the $27,000 figure. And she outlined time frame, weekly hours spent. and
What was
so-
the time frame?
7 weeks is in my head for some
It
reason.
wasn't months and months and months.
Okay,
It
so we're good
wasn't,
then.
yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking it was less than 2 months. but I may
It could
be
very well
wrong.
be.
So 3 months
I'll-
would be
I'll-
fine.
I'll defer to you, I don't remember. What I remember is how detailed
get the timeline.
she was in shooting this, what
Would
was
we-
involved.
By talking with a potential respondent ahead of time, would that be jeopardizing this?
I think so. This,
Yeah.
No, if you're only asking general questions, it would not be,
But,
but if you're asking specific questions.
Right.
Moose
Right.
Mountain Greenways, they had someone do their feasibility study for the towns. Who did that?
I don't know. When was that done?
Oh, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they had,
They did a feasibility study on what?
they did, I think they did a feasibility study first, and then they did the research for all the towns when they put Wolfboro and Farmington and in a whole little area. They came to each town and they
The
said
Moose
what
Mountain
greenways.
region.
Yeah, yeah, right. I remember that was passed yesterday, so it's difficult. Does that timeline sound okay?
No, let me see. September, October. So it'd be about 2.5 months.
And they would know ahead of time that because it would be in the RFP.
And it would, okay, so depending on what other work they have scheduled.
This is the person or group that's gonna be doing the feasibility
Yeah,
study?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, when they answered the RFP,
I know.
they would know whether or not it would fit in their timeline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just want to put on the table, and this isn't meant to be discouraging, but the very first committee, we wanted to put out to do an RFP. We included somebody else doing the RFP as well. And we got no responses at all. In fact, it was somebody down in one of the State Department agencies that basically turned us on to Rose Wilson.
Yeah, Rose is good.
She herself had not stepped forward to do it, but they had contacted her and they said, look, Rose, this is right up your alley. And the Kendall Foundation agreed to pay to have her come over to talk with the committee.
Well, I've already had 2 people
Indicate an interest?
indicate an
Oh,
interest.
well, that's great, that's great.
This one lady, it's not on this phone, it's on my county phone. She keeps calling and wanting to know if we have ready for the RFP yet.
Okay,
So she's down, want to say she's in Massachusetts.
okay.
So we're not writing the RFP, or we don't want to write the RFP?
Oh, no, we will.
We will.
We will
Okay.
write the RFP,
All right,
yes.
He's just saying that they didn't get a response.
We didn't get a response for that.
okay.
But Rose
And-
Wilson, I think from the get-go, has indicated, I don't know what her schedule is, but she's indicated an interest in bidding to do the
Yeah.
feasibility study.
She is excellent.
And there's the people that did the Moose Mountain Regional Greenways also,
Now,
who
there's
are
a,
familiar with this
yes.
community.
There's a woman with the Land for Good down in Keene that she and I had emailed and talked, and at that point in time, she also was interested in doing the feasibility study. And I had asked her roughly, what kind of money we'd be looking at. And her response was, understand, well, I haven't seen what it is you're looking for. She said, but it shouldn't cost you more than $3,000 or $4,000. And I gotta confess, that
What?
kind of made me a little, I
That's a
said,
little-
oh, okay,
that's-
okay. But she came
I
highly
don't-
recommended
I don't
for
think
the.
if we'd had to hire someone to do the trails, I don't think they'd have done that for $3,000 or $4,000.
Yeah,
Just
so, yeah. I'm not
Susan
gonna say,
put in
I wasn't in,
hours.
but the thing is, this woman came highly recommended from the Land for Good. But I saw such a difference in value between what she was gonna charge us and what Rose Wilson was gonna charge us, and I just, okay,
It depends a
fine.
great deal on the level of detail that they go.
Yes.
And what the RFP is involved.
Correct,
Exactly.
correct.
Anyway,
Okay,
let's
back to
get
the
back to the
timeline.
project description.
So is that a timetable for the work?
Yeah, see, that's the kind of thing that I think we need to.
Okay, and the timeline that you've written down there, Amanda, you'll give to Susan?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so we've got the time, okay. In the project description, have we sufficiently answered the timetable, timeline for the work? Who are gonna be the key people?
Well, we have the key people.
The
First of all, there's
committee writes
committee.
the RFP.
The committee?
And we're
Writes the
going to-
We will be the
RFP.
key people?
Well, we write the RFP.
The county commissioners issue it?
Well, not necessarily, but the committee can write the RFP.
Yep.
I think it just needs to be approved by the commissioners.
Okay,
Which I don't think
okay.
will be a
And then
problem. The returns,
Who issues the darn thing?
The
probably the
RFP?
commissioners.
Okay, good. Okay.
We'll write it, they'll oversee it, they'll look at it and
They'll
say,
say, they'll put their stamp on it and say.
Okay.
okay, where do you want this advertised?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do that. The returns, the commissioners.
Yep,
They will come to the commissioners for the
Yep.
returns, And then the commissioners, the committee will write a recommendation based on that with the administrator.
Yeah.
And then that recommendation will go to the commissioners, and the commissioners will actually be the
Make
ones
the final
that pick
decision.
because, but I'm quite certain that they would follow the recommendations of this committee and
Good.
can. Now, you weren't here for that, so let me tell you. We said that the committee would write the RFP, but it would have to be approved by the commissioners, and they would be the ones to publish it.
To authorize it.
To
go
authorize
forward.
it.
Okay.
And
All
that
right.
the results would be returned to the commissioners to be opened, and then we would the commissioners would give them to you and the committee to write a recommendation as to which one to choose, and then the commissioners would actually be the ones to choose the
Right.
person.
Based off of your recommendations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think you should be in on that reviewing, because I think our regular process to review RFPs is for you and the department head to
Mhm.
review them and make recommendations.
Yeah.
So I just included you as one of the key people that would be reviewing with the committee, making the recommendation. That's me.
MMRG did not do a feasibility study.
They just did the study.
It was a conservation action plan, and she's sending me the contract, but that's conservation stuff, nothing to do with the feasibility study.
So they didn't do a feasibility before they did that?
Nope.
I'm sorry, I
Sorry.
misunderstood what she was telling you. Okay.
This says, research into project, determine level 1 to 4 months.
What is this you reading now, Ken?
This is Rose's, the farm
Oh,
and
okay.
local food
Rose
system
Wilson.
feasibility
Okay,
study.
1 to 4 months?
But then, I don't know, she has up to 6 months. But she was doing the local food system feasibility study and the Carroll County Farm study,
Okay.
feasibility study.
And that was the $27,000 study?
No, this is 52,000.
Okay.
And there's one for
No.
20,000. It's task 2.
There's a couple things in there, Amanda.
We've been getting, as commissioners, we've been getting
Take task 1.
feasibility studies, and they come in 4 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, some of the stuff you guys have already done.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
doing the commercial kitchen. and-
Yeah, yeah.
So I would say, 3 to 4 months is actually doable.
And we've
Okay.
decided
And we're giving
on
it
2.5.
3, right?
Oh, boy, you guys are really moving it up.
Yeah,
Well,
maximum 3.
That's good then.
well, it depends on when they get started.
Right.
If they start August 1st, the day we tell them.
I'm just thinking about the way life works.
Yes, I know.
In the,
Well, what's going to happen is I
Yeah.
would expect if
And
they
government
aren't
is slow.
finished, they will come up and they will say, look, I need an
Okay.
extension for, and we will say, that's fine. We need to look at what you have so we can put something in our budget if we need to. And then the commissioners and the delegation say, oh, don't worry about putting anything in the budget because it's going to be 0.
right?
Or they'll say, oh, don't worry about it, you can tell us about it.
And if worst case scenario, they're not done, I mean, we can still submit our budget, and when it goes through the review process with the county convention, then they can add it in at some point, if needed.
Do we want to keep all those dates in the timeline, or just show the 11/1 as being the final, the project being finished,
I
receiving the?
think we need to put in the major ones.
Yeah, because it wants a timetable.
Yeah, they're looking for a timetable. They want to, what they're looking for is to know that you've thought about this in sufficient detail as to whether the project is actually doable.
And they want the realistic plan.
Right.
That's my problem. What is the realistic plan? It's a feasibility study. Is that sufficient?
Depends on how much detail you want.
No, I mean, here where it says project description, It says a clear and realistic plan.
Yeah, I know. Well, to me, this November 1st report due date is, yeah, depending on how much detail you're looking for, that may or may not be realistic.
Well, it depends on how much funding we get.
I know, I know.
Right, because the
Yeah.
more funding, the more detail will
Yeah.
go, and
Yeah,
the less funding, the less detail.
the more cursory.
What would you call it, response therapy?
Right,
What's due
I-
on the 21st?
A submission, an RFP submission.
So we have a timeline.
Yeah.
We know
Is
the
that our
key-
plan?
We know the key
People.
personnel, right? We've got a timetable, we've got the major activities. Right?
Mhm.
It's just they gave us 500 words. I think they want more than what we just.
Well,
Although
they-
Dale's right, you know, if you
very
keep it
often-
really short and sweet.
Don't let that scare you.
Amanda, this is that NHCF grant that I was referring to the other day.
Sometimes they be beyond just the little
And that's basically what we
bullet
have.
points, they want a few words about what each one is.
On the description, on the top of
Yeah.
page 2. Is that what we're talking about now? Is
The
that what we
project
have?
description, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We've just gone through the major bullet points, the major activities, and we know roughly who.
Excuse me.
Now we should attach a budget to it.
All right, 10,000 from the county, 5,000 from the Charitable Foundation,
That's
and
the funding
5,000 from the
sources,
Kendall
right.
Foundation.
Right, what we have.
And that answers the budget, that answers the
That,
budget.
and that's the maximum budget.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, at this present time. If we should come up with some other grants, that would be just wonderful.
Yeah,
but-
you know, there's nothing that precludes us from look for searching for the grant money. I've been told that, say, all we have is $20,000. Well, you're not gonna, when you put out the bid, you're not gonna say, all we've got is $20,000, because lo and behold, that's exactly what it's gonna
Right.
cost you, is $20,000. So you've gotta wait till you get the bids back in, and if the best bid we find is $25,000, then we've gotta somehow come up with another $5,000.
Or reduce the scope of work.
Or reduce the scope of work, exactly. So, but there's nothing that says that we can't continue to search out for other funding possibilities as well. What I have found in the limited search that I've done is, whether it's USDA or some others, they don't fund feasibility studies.
Very few of them do.
They just don't do it. So a lot of doors have been closed. I think I've been in touch with Northern Borders.
Yes,
I don't
would
think
they do that?
I don't think they do, but don't hold me to that.
How about the RC&D?
Don't know.
I don't think so. You're
Because
talking
I
about
got,
North Country RC&D?
yes,
That's Rick DeMark, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's
Right.
Rick DeMar.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a feasibility study done from him when I was in Stratford.
You did?
Yeah,
Well,
well,
that's
it's
an
a-
avenue worth pursuing then.
Yeah, that was for like a wood chip fired boiler plant.
Yeah, but when was that, Ken?
2009, 10?
Yeah, RC&D, North Country RC&D has gone through a lot of changes.
Oh, are they?
And Rick is mostly retired at this point. I saw him last weekend.
But it wouldn't hurt to ask.
Oh, no, no,
right.
no. it wouldn't hurt to
Nothing
ask at
ventured,
all.
nothing gained.
Yeah.
So what else do we have to do on this?
Yeah, let's wrap up the
Did we
project
talk-
description, you know.
Did we talk with NCIC?
John Freeman up there,
Yeah, North Country,
Investment Corp.
Investment
Nothing
Corp, yeah.
Community Investment Corp, yeah. I can get in touch with John. I don't know whether they do anything on that or not, but I can
yeah, I know
ask.
Caitlin.
Well, if we don't get this one in, we won't have it signed.
Right, okay.
Okay, all right, we're on page 2. We beat together the first page here on timeliness and,
Okay.
okay. As Sandy suggests, do we want to have just a sentence or two under each one of those to kind of flesh them out a little bit? or
Just maybe just a sentence, maybe
Yeah.
half a sentence.
Yeah.
Under what?
Under each of our bullet items here.
Yeah.
Oh, the 4-H animal science, so.
No. I was thinking of the time steps.
Oh,
Go
So
back
what
to
I
the time
have so
steps.
far is funding for the project will be established by June 1st. The committee's RFP will be completed by July 1st. RFP submission to be, what'd I say?
Okay,
That's
okay.
right. RFP submission to be received by July 21st, selects researcher August 1st, and the final report due back November 1st.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, all right.
And do we want to make any, somewhere in this whole document, and I'm not sure where it goes, we need to make note of the funding sources, plural.
That will be in the budget.
No, what do you mean?
Well,
We just
the fact-
outlined.
We're asking for $5,000 from the charitable foundation.
Yeah.
And we need to let them know that we're hoping to leverage their funds with matching funds from the Kendall Foundation, as well as county funds.
Yes.
Up to a certain dollar amount.
Yep, up to $10,000 max.
Right. And I think that's important to put in.
Yes.
the
It's in the budget.
It's in the, it's part of
It's in the budget, so it's there.
Well,
It should be.
also
It's not
in the
there yet.
executive summary.
Oh,
We're going to be, maybe not the dollar amounts, but say that we plan on leveraging their funds with other sources.
well, and I think we ought to also state, because that was one of the
You've got
big
5 words to
things
do it.
about having the county financially involved. So if you say the county is committed up to $10,000, and we're going to leverage their grant with other grants. But I think Sandy's right, and if we've already said it in the budget.
We gotta take some words out then.
Yeah, 'cause
Oh,
we're,
in the summary, how many, what are we up to?
You have 5 words
95.
left.
5 words left? Forget that then. Can we put it in the description?
I think that's where it goes.
Where's the one that had 500 words we didn't put it
Here's
in?
the-
The project description.
Correct, that's the
Amanda
description.
wants to get close to that 500 words.
Oh, no, no, but I
That's
mean, we got
that's the
extra
goal.
words.
That's the goal.
Can we put it in with the project description?
Oh, this is for the farmers.
Yeah. I
Using
was using an
up to
example.
$10,000 of the county funds and your grant and leveraging matching grants? We want to do this?
Yeah. I just.
Okay, this is what happens. I'm not a writer and now my brain's gone. So it's- Go ahead, Dale, spit it out.
Oh, no, I've got nothing. No, I
Have you
mean,
done that?
I just don't see as long as it's in the budget and they see, now, is that just one line, budget, this number, this number, this number, or does it say in there
So the-
contingent on your,
We can do that.
Yeah.
Just make a little.
In the budget,
just a little
yes.
note.
Because that was one of the big things before, right? They were asking for the county to have some skin in the game.
Yeah.
That was the requirement.
Yeah.
right, so
And
she
the
can
$10,000.
asterisk the $5,000 and then put in a footnote, this will release the
Contingent
up
upon
to 10.
receiving.
Yeah. I don't want to muddy each category with stuff that's not, that could be pertained in that subject, but not really. The more clear, the more precise we can be in each of these, the better off we're gonna be.
But they don't have any specific
So are you putting an Excel
bullet
spreadsheet
point,
in there?
major heading,
I'm gonna.
to talk about funding.
Question
No, but the
here.
budget gets turned in with the
Yeah,
application,
The-
correct, Susan?
Yep.
Yeah.
yes, yes, it
Right,
is.
so, yeah, it might not be in these 5, 1, 2, 3.
No, it's not in these 5. It's-
topics.
I don't believe it's in these 5.
No, it's not.
The budget
it's
is a
not.
separate item altogether.
You're right, but it's
Yeah.
still, they're still gonna get a piece of paper with our budget on it.
Yes, they will.
And she can put that in there.
Yes,
that
yes.
It's
But I-
contingent on,
But we're not, but it's my understanding, and Susan, you jump in, but it's my understanding that these 5 or 6 questions they've asked does not include the budget. The budget is another sheet altogether.
Yeah.
but it's still in the,
It's still part of the
Still
application.
part of
It's
the
still
application.
It's part of the application. But what I'm saying, right now, we're trying to figure, okay, where do we put the budget in this? It doesn't go
we
in here.
don't need to.
No.
There's
but-
no
Totally separate
clarification, there's
section.
nothing in here.
No, but you can put a sentence or two in this document, or in this part of it, to recognize that.
Could we put it under
Why couldn't
timeliness?
that sentence or two be
I
in the
think
budget?
we didn't type,
The budget
Oh,
thing?
timeliness.
Why does it have to be included in this?
Just put a footnote.
Well, because,
Asterisk
this is
or
one
footnote?
piece of paper.
Yeah,
The budget's gonna make it two pieces of paper.
yes.
There you
that's right.
go. Just doing the quick
It's
math.
gonna be no pieces of paper, it's gonna be electronic.
Theoretical
Saving
pieces of
trees.
paper.
We're saving trees.
Good point.
I thought we had
Good point.
basically resolved the budget. What we do is we were listing the three funds.
that's all.
The three
Okay.
funds.
Good done.
And,
Okay.
and I'm a big believer in the KISS principle. Why do we need to all of a sudden further compound and confuse that? We list the three potential funders. I would head off with the county, because getting back to a point that Amanda made, both the Charitable Foundation and the Kendall Foundation wanted an assurance that the county had skin in the game. By leading off with that $10,000, we're telling them right up front, this is our skin in the game. And the fact of the matter is, we're putting as much into this as we're asking the other two.
But
How
that
much more?
skin isn't coming in the game until we get these.
But I wouldn't
to a
say
grant.
that, I wouldn't say that.
They don't need to know that.
Why do they need to know that?
No, we
This-
have, that's the whole point of the footnote.
I thought that was the
It's
whole point of
contingent
what we
upon
were doing,
receiving-
yes.
Right.
We
That's
need
why
to
we're
put that in
budgeting.
there.
Okay, all right.
you gotta say that it's all, it's contingent.
Because your $5,000 is very important because it releases another potential 15.
I was under the impression, and Ken, that if, say we only got $5,000, then the delegation would only release $5,000.
That's
Right,
true,
that's
that's why I
correct.
said potential.
Correct.
Yes,
It
okay.
potentially releases another 15,000 through the Kendall and the potential 5 grand from the Kendall and the potential 10 grand from the
Okay.
county.
See, you're saying that because hoping to put a little more incentive.
Right,
for
yeah.
the Charitable Foundation to say, okay, if we don't go
It's-
along with this,
right.
it's a dead project.
Mhm.
Okay,
Exactly.
all right, all right, all right, all right. That's the footnote.
Yeah.
Right, the footnote on the budget.
Yeah, okay.
Nowhere in here have we said what who the committee was.
You mean the people, individuals?
Hmm.
I'm okay with that. I don't think that's
You
imperative.
don't think it's
Are we the
important to
key
know?
people?
They're not gonna be, oh, Dale Drew's here, we need to give him 5 grand.
No, but
Take
they
it next to
might
five.
be-
Yeah,
They
no.
might be
No,
That
impressed
might
that,
be a deterrent.
They might say,
Right.
Dale Drew's
Dale
involved
Drew's
in
on
this
there,
for
right,
grants,
yeah,
take anything.
they might be
$5
impressed that the county, that the chairman of the county delegation
Yep.
and chairman of the county board of commissioners,
Plus 2 farmers.
plus a financial wizard.
Financial analyst?
Well,
She's
you
the
know,
glue.
let me expand on that a
Financial
minute,
wizard.
because I think that's an interesting point.
Do you have a, like a?
Both
Yeah, that's that word.
Peter Benson and Andy Kendall were aware with the first committee that the commissioners and a delegation were having they were not on common ground here on this.
Exactly.
And the fact that this committee now includes a commissioner and also a delegation member make
Not only a commissioner and a delegation member, but chairman of both.
Yes,
And a farmer.
right, but I'm thinking
And a tree farm.
to both Peter Benson's mind and Andy Kendall's mind, that may give them an assurance that, okay, that issue, that political issue has been greatly resolved, that all parties are now involved in the decision-making process. So, yeah, on that point, I mean, I would agree with
That's
that.
good.
I would agree with
That's
it.
actually good.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, because that was a problem before.
Well, that's it, and I think,
We can call it a payment or a,
because actually, theoretically, you have 4 farmers on
We do.
You're a farmer,
and Mark's a tree farmer.
yeah, you're a farmer,
Yep,
Sandy's a
are
farmer,
you?
Yeah.
yeah,
payment,
yeah.
I know.
grant.
Oh,
We
good.
could just simply say the majority of the committee
Yes,
have farm backgrounds,
Yes.
or actively are farmers,
yes,
or.
yes, are actively
There are
involved
6
in farm
members.
activities.
And Steve and Susan eat food, so.
That's right,
There
boy.
you go.
Well, and Susan eats local grown food.
I know.
We all do.
Well, I think they think
I
farmers
know.
do that anyways.
Okay,
You
wh-
raise chickens, you got eggs.
Where do we put that?
Ed's got eggs.
I would put that in the project description.
The
It
place
talks
where
part
we
of that
got,
500 words.
It talks about the key personnel.
Yes.
Are we,
I'm sorry. I don't know.
the executive summary, is that the one we had 5 words left in?
No.
Yes.
Okay, we don't want to put it.
Project description asks for the key people, like Sandra
Right.
said, and we have 500 words.
So,
You are such a teacher.
The key people are the
Well, there's the
committee
committee.
and the professional service.
so, just
Should we write
describe the
committee
makeup of the
made up
committee.
of?
Yeah,
6 members of the committee.
The assistance of the six committee members.
someplace we said they would do that. The
Include-
commissioners did that.
Which includes,
Include the chair of the county board of commissioners, the chair of the county delegation,
I would put that one first.
Yes, I
I'll,
would. Yeah,
and four active farmers, including 4 active farmers. So it wouldn't be Amanda and Mark and 4 active farmers, but list the 2 of you as the chair of the commissioners and chair of the delegation, and which also includes 4 active farmers.
Yeah.
You're an active farmer, Dale is.
but it makes it
Sandy
sound
is-
like it.
Are we steering it with it, putting in the
But it's-
farmers?
It sounds like, though, that there's 4 active farmers plus.
Well, that's what I wanted to be careful we didn't.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I know. That was why I wanted to be sure that,
Well,
that it didn't.
That's easy to fix. You just
On the
put
video.
the head of the delegation, the head of the commissioners, both of which are active farmers, the other 4 members of the committee, 2 of which are active farmers, however Susan wants to clean that up.
Or you could put all 6 members are participants in local agriculture,
Yeah.
either raising it or
Steve
using
hasn't
a tree farm.
bought a thing for me yet.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, they did, about pork chops.
Oh, that's right, you did buy pork chops. I'm right down the street. If we had a food hub, you could buy your pork chops, because they'd all be in the same spot.
Now it's getting
We're having
territorial.
way too much fun.
Now it's
Is it
getting
dinner time
territorial. Come
I'm
on.
getting hungry.
Okay, come on.
So yeah, so what, how'd you clean that up?
Are we wrapping this thing up?
Susan, what do you need from us now?
let me see.
Probably to leave her alone.
With the assistance of the 6 committee members, which includes the chair of the county delegation, the chair of the county board of commissioners, and all 4, oops,
You put oops in there?
no,
Oh.
and all 4 members participating in local agriculture.
All 6 members participate.
You eat. We grow.
Sweet too.
You're darn right I do.
Okay.
Are there any key things in there, Susan, you need knowledge about or need help with? Or?
Nope.
My next question, Susan, is when can the committee see the finished product here?
Right now, if you'd like.
Yes, because I'd like to, when we leave, if possible, I'd like us to vote on this and basically authorize Susan to move it along.
Do we want to leave these bullets?
Yes.
I would think.
I
What
would,
is-
I would say no,
Why? Why not?
because it's too much detail. I would suggest that,
Oh, I think there's not enough detail.
no, I think we've talked about agricultural production or agricultural education.
And that's the broad spectrum, and I think we
Yeah.
ought to just keep it,
I think we should at this point,
you know.
but I'm willing to be overridden or persuaded.
Because all of these bullets come under that agricultural production or agricultural.
Plus agricultural education.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think it kind of fleshes it out a little bit without getting into a
Okay.
lot of verbiage.
But it's a limited completely, it's completely limited.
Yeah,
Which I don't like limiting it, I like.
But this is what we
You
want
could
the
say,
study to
just say,
cover.
for
Major-
example.
Major activities will include researching the following topics, or, yeah, we don't have to, this is not all encompassing.
Or will or may.
Well, we want to
Good.
look at least that, if not something else, right?
Well, will and may, two different uses, two
Yeah.
different directions
Well,
altogether.
see, the sentence before that says, this study would determine the need, feasibility, and sustainability of several ideas which fall into the category of agricultural production or agricultural education, period,
And, yeah.
period. But when then you come up with this, and that's all we're gonna look at? No.
I added major, after that sentence, I added major activities will include researching the following topics.
But
And we
then-
can reword that to say, this is not an entire, a complete list, but here's an example of what we're asking them to look at.
Well, I thought we decided these are the things we wanted the feasibility study to do
That's right off the
because
matrix.
we were gonna do the other ones. Thought we were comfortable with doing the other
I don't
matrix
think
ideas.
4-H animal science comes under that feasibility study at all. Not at all.
Well,
What else would we want to study?
the two most specific items.
Agricultural production and agricultural education.
Right, and I agree with Amanda, the 4-H animal science and the hydroponic, aquaponic are more specific, whereas the other four are broad.
Well, I don't think Food Hub belongs in there either. That's a specific,
Actually, it's,
But I
that
thought
would be
that was one of the
under
things we wanted them to
agricultural
study.
production.
But production is different than dispersion or consolidation.
We do have Food Hub currently under the production ag
yeah.
category.
Yeah, it's production, it's agricultural production. I think if we leave those broad, especially for this, remember, this is just asking for money for the
Oh, I know,
feasibility
I know.
study. So we leave it broad. When we come to the RFP, then we'll have to get
Okay.
nitty picky.
So you want to take those two out?
I'd take them all. Because you said over here, it's going to be agricultural production and agricultural education.
So just leave those two bullet points in there?
Well, that'd be redundant if I just have those two bullets.
Right.
I know.
You don't need it. You don't need it.
So you want to take all 6 of those bullet points out?
Wait a minute.
Because those are covered under agricultural education and agricultural production.
Time out. We could leave, you said agriculture education. You could say, leave that there and say, for students and the public. That's a little bit more detail, but without going into great deal. Under agricultural production, you could have leasing, tenant farming,
Those little garden plots or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's all comes under the
That's all stuff we'll
RFP.
put in the
that doesn't need a
RFP.
feasibility study.
Or
Yeah,
not.
to me, you either take them all out or leave them all in, or some of them in.
Well, that's why I think
I say leave them all in.
if you take them all
I'm in agreement.
out, then when the person is reading this and you're saying, okay, why should I give them $5,000? They're going to do agricultural education and agricultural production.
What does that mean?
Everybody has a different interpretation of
Right.
that. So that's nice and broad, so yes, they'll need the 5,000. If we shorten it up and we give specific things, 4-H animal science is covered by UNH.
That one should not be there anyway.
Yeah. I
That's
would
covered
put
by
that about there.
UNH.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The agricultural education for students in public, we already put in agricultural education for
But
everybody.
see, these were examples within those major categories.
Well, yeah, food production is agricultural production.
But that could be interpreted as not leasing with tenant farmers, that could be interpreted as doing it, the county doing it itself. A food hub, by the way, could be aggregation and distribution, it could also be food manufacturing.
Mhm.
It could be a hydroponic bill.
Sure. Depends on how you define food hub, there's so many different ways to do it.
Well, that's why I don't think that's in there, because that's covered with the agricultural production. Agricultural education. How are you going to educate people? That's mine. Okay, quiet now.
What you got?
I just finished the budget, I guess.
Oh, okay.
But, so, I'm gonna print these out, or?
Contingent upon receipt of an HCF grant. Yeah.
All right. The last sentence before we list those is, as has been mentioned, several ideas which fall into the category of agricultural production or agricultural education. And then in the next page, we list 5 or 6 areas here of agricultural education and production. Might someone looking at this basically interpret that as those are the only areas of agricultural production that we're gonna be taking a look at?
You could just.
Through the feasibility study.
That's what we're talking about now, is the feasibility.
Okay.
But you could say, including but not limited to.
Right, exactly.
Okay, that's what I would add to that. Including but not limited to.
Mhm.
And in that case, why would we redundantly add agricultural education again? Because it's
Because-
only in the food production, because we've already said agricultural education.
But we're saying for students and public.
Mhm.
Okay, all right, okay. Defining it more closely.
Correct.
But it's for everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but this is,
students and public, yeah. But I like the word including but not limited to.
Do you have a printer? I can print this off.
Yeah, or you can just email it out, and I'll print it.
Okay,
You want to print it now?
I think we're ready.
Yeah.
you got a spell check
Do you have
on
the
it?
address downstairs?
If I can get, first of all, I need a password for the Wi-Fi.
Ken, you got the password for the Wi-Fi?
Yeah, it's been on the wall.
You sending those right now?
We're gonna get a printout so we can see what
There
we're
should be,
voting on
if you're on
here.
if you're on the free Wi-Fi.
There's a public Wi-Fi available.
Yeah.
Wait a second here.
Would that have access to the,
Yeah.
Printer downstairs?
no, to that stuff that we need to get into
Actually,
the,
no, go back.
The portal?
the portal to the charitable foundation?
Oh, she's already got that.
She's
Yeah,
on,
she's
yeah.
she's got all that.
Okay.
All she's doing now is printing it out so we can see what it is after 2 hours,
Yeah.
what we finally have written here and approved.
You should just come right up.
And then I'd like a vote on that, basically
Here we
saying,
go.
yes, this is what we're gonna be sending as an application, and she can just hit the send button then.
There you go.
No, you have to go, oh, you've been on that portal already, all morning?
No,
No, no, no, no, no, no.
Okay.
She's gonna do that.
Because you have to go to the
ASAP.
portal and then
Yes,
copy and paste
but
it
first,
in.
we've talked for over 2 hours on the changes,
Yeah, I
and
know.
I want us all to take a look at what we finally approved
Mhm.
and to vote on that, and then Susan can go into the portal and all of that stuff and send it along.
Okay, well, she's printing. I've got to make a trip.
Okay.
I'm used to 90-minute classes, remember?
That egg washer is amazing.
2 hours.
Oh my God, it saved me so much time.
Good, good. Your compressor, get it
Oh, yeah,
dialed down?
oh, yeah. Yeah, I have the tank amount, and then I have a regulator right on it, where I can dial it back or dial it up, depending on how
Yeah,
dirty the
yeah.
eggs
Just
are.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the one that I bought to go with it is,
Yeah.
kind of like this.
I have a big pancake compressor that works.
So, yeah.
I've got one of those
Just do
too.
that,
Yeah.
and so.
And I
I
bought a
didn't
little,
know that.
the little tire
It's
air filler
right.
up thing that
Right.
goes on it. It has a clip on it, so I don't even have to hold it. It just sits right on there. For about 4 minutes on normally dirty eggs, perfect.
Good.
There we go.
And
Oh,
Are we in the recess? recess? Oh.
I'll be back.
He's old, Ed, you gotta give him some slack.
Yeah, you never said much today.
No, I've got a lot of stuff going on.
Okay.
They were bad.
Their voices, but they don't answer back. Keep asking them, but they don't answer back.
There's no answer, huh? Time for lunch.
You
Is it
buying?
still on?
Yeah.
Is the camera still on?
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't go into recess.
It's a live recent number, so.
Well, I just gotta be careful what I say then.
Right. All right, so, want.
Is that going down to your printer, to print out?
It's going out on my email, I'll just print it off. again.
Okay, all right.
I'm not sure how to get the printer. Are you sending it down?
I am.
Okay. Dale, how you doing?
Great.
Progress in the fine New England tradition.
I'm looking forward to getting going on that handicap trail now.
Mm-hmm.
Snow's melting, I wanna get something done, so we can say we've accomplished something. I like getting things accomplished.
So,
How's it look, Susan?
I sent it, so now it's up to Ken.
Okay.
You know, Steve, you brought up an interesting, I think it was you, based on a nonprofit, that's what a 503.
501c, there's a 501c3, I think there's a 501c4, there's a 501c, they're just different categories.
Of nonprofits.
Yes, of nonprofits, yes.
And you talked about a nonprofit to oversee the whole. Would that, the whole activity on the property, would
Yes.
that be something that would be part of the feasibility study?
That was a question that I think both Dale and I raised. Where does that fit into that thing? And the reason I brought that up, getting back to some comments that Mark
Yeah.
Council made, and my impression of the Trails Network thing was that Mark said, yes, I like what has been done so far, and I think you should move forward. However, there's the governance issue and the funding
Right.
issue that I think need to be resolved as well. And Mark was the one, as you recall, who put on the table for discussion, one option might be a 501c3. But getting back to your direct question, and this is all theoretical at this point in time, we don't know, but say we end up with a Trails Network, we end up with an education center, we end up with the big agricultural type thing, are we gonna have a 501c3 for each one of those? Or do we wanna have one umbrella 501c3
Right.
that has components of each one of those sitting around the table?
Good luck, who's gonna run that? You're not gonna find a volunteer that's gonna wanna do that.
Well, no, I think directors are, I think they have salaries. I think these.
Who's paying
No,
them?
the fund, where does the funding come from in
Well,
all of this?
that's it. I
See?
think, like, isn't the Humane Society a nonprofit?
Yeah,
I believe that it is, Amanda, yes.
So they have fundraisers, they have grants, they have all
Exactly.
kinds of income that they can have.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
the director of of each
Yeah.
regional humane society, they get paid, they have money, they get a salary.
Yeah.
The people that work there get salaries. I don't expect.
One of the things is, and Susan and I discussed this a little bit yesterday, all right, say that of the three entities that I'm talking about, the Trail Network, the Educational Center, and the broader agricultural production type thing, in infinite wisdom, the commissioners decide we want 3 separate 501c3s. Down the road, they could be competing for funds.
Yeah.
They could all of a sudden say, wait a minute, what you're advocating, what one 501c3 is advocating is in conflict with the goals and agendas of another 501c3. And so wouldn't it make sense to have one big umbrella and have equal representation of 3 of the different groups sitting around the table? So if there is conflict, they now resolve it amongst themselves so they go forward. The last thing we want to do, I would think, is to have 3 separate entities competing with each other.
But if we had one, would we need to have the question about that in the feasibility study? Should that be in our RFP?
We might, we might, yeah, I think that was the question that Dale brought up, how's this all gonna fit in together?
Right.
And I think that should be in the RFP. We can come up with the greatest plan in the world, but if the 2 unanswered questions are, who's gonna run this thing and where's the money coming from, and those aren't addressed, then basically what we're doing is we're dumping something in your lap as a commissioner and saying, okay, you figured that out.
Well, and I think the bottom line, the commissioners do have to figure it out. But
Yes, you do.
it'd be nice to have the recommendation of this
Of
committee.
having some
with-
options.
Well, and that's why they were so impressed with Susan's work. Because not only did she have the idea, but she had the facts to back it up.
Exactly.
She had the research to back
Yeah,
it up. It
and
was-
that's important.
It was shown that there's been time invested in
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And, all the way from the best practices for trails or loops to here are our loop systems, and they start out at, we made a mistake on a half mile, but it starts out with half a mile and then you can make them larger and larger. So there was that thread from here's what's suggested, here's our research, and this is what we've done as a result.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if that ought to be, we ought not think about that as we think about the feasibility study.
I think it becomes and I'm glad in some respects that Mark brought that up yesterday. Because that was something that we as a committee had not spent a lot of time on.
Well, we've talked about it. I
Yes,
remember
we-
bringing up
yes.
that there should be a 3 or 5 person
Something.
board.
Yes, something.
Because there's gonna have to be a go-between between whatever entity is out here
Yep.
and you guys, because you're not gonna do, or the commissioners, that's what I'm saying, are
Yeah.
doing. So there's gonna have to be that go-between.
And I think, now, Mark made it clear that he was just speaking for himself on this. He was not speaking for either you or Dave, but these were questions that he had. But how I interpret it, and the 2 of you were there as well, so you correct me if I'm wrong, that what Mark was indicating is, I don't want to see the county have anything to do with this. This is going to be a separate entity
Thank you,
altogether.
Well, and I that's why I always wait 24 hours before I really make a statement about
Yep.
something, because I like to digest it
Yep.
and think about it, because sometimes my initial reaction is, well, that's crazy, or gee, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And then, as you think about it and digest it, I either come up with a hybrid, or my initial reaction may be the same, I come up with 24 hours
Thank you,
later.
Ken.
But
Welcome.
I was thinking about it and trying to expand on what he
Yep,
was saying.
yep.
And,
And the thing is, it could very well be in the feasibility study that was included, that what may be discussed are just some options, but there may be others as well. But I think, to me, and I'm speaking just for me, is I think it's important that whatever is finally ended up and put before the commissioners, they get a sense is that we looked at as much as we possibly could. That, not that we're saying, okay, this is the way you should go, but these are some recommendations, these are some ideas that you can either reject or build on. That we didn't leave anything untouched.
right. And that's why I keep saying, we need to keep an open mind.
Yes, yep,
Or, at least give the appearance of an open mind.
okay. This is the finish. Okay, let's take a few minutes and read this. The first paragraph says, "It no longer meets the needs of the communities." Didn't we discuss that was an assumption that we're making here?
No.
No?
We discussed it, but I think we decided to leave it in.
Leave it as it is? Okay, okay.
I thought we weren't gonna use reevaluate, we were just gonna use evaluate.
Yeah, that second paragraph.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just noticed that. I'll
Yeah.
take that out, should just evaluate.
Susan?
Mm.
Up under need, in front of 15 acres of wetlands, do we need a comma after blueberries?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did we decide to change the word poor house to poor farm? Or that we were gonna leave in poor house?
I've always seen it referred to as poorhouse, but that doesn't mean it's
Okay,
right.
okay, okay.
So the committee held 3 listening sessions to hear from the county residents. Should be of the uses. Committee held 3 listening sessions to hear from the county residents.
Uses and, no, I would just say from county
Comma?
residents, the uses and directions they would like to see the committee explore.
Residents, uses and direction. So is there a comma after residents? No?
It's not my strong point.
If something's wrong either way.
Where are you?
The third red paragraph. But in the middle, the committee held.
Yep.
Should be on the uses
Regarding,
regarding.
to hear from county residents, I would take out the, from county residents regarding the usage or uses and direction.
Just regarding use and directions would be fine, take the uses right out.
Regarding use.
I mean, the out.
Yeah, regarding uses and direction. Regarding uses and directions that they would like to see the committee explore. So is there a that after direction?
Doesn't make sense to me now.
Mhm.
The committee held 3 listening sessions to hear from county residents regarding. You want to hear, you're not hearing regarding, you're hearing their ideas.
Yep.
This is to hear ideas, okay, so let's put ideas. Or suggestions.
Yeah. Suggestions for the use of.
Okay, suggestions. Suggestions. Oh, now we gotta change the whole
Right.
sentence. Yeah, 3 listening sessions to hear suggestions from county residents regarding uses and directions they would like to see the committee explore. Suggestions. No, I think that's okay.
The committee held 3 listening sessions to hear suggestions from county residents regarding uses and directions they would like to see the committee explore.
Yeah, no, I
Good.
think that's fine.
Okay, in the next sentence, well, the committee felt they could satisfactorily explore many of the ideas. Do we have to have that word received? Just many of the ideas themselves? The committee realizes several are beyond their expertise to determine.
You know you're from the Northeast when you put an R after A. No, I'm
You
just
did
saying,
it.
no. The way Amanda says it, ideas. I do it too.
We get all the extra R's from
Yeah.
Massachusetts. They don't use them down in
No.
Mass, and we get all their R's.
Yeah. That's why we park our car in the garage.
That's right.
I do think that when we say the committee realizes several categories are beyond their expertise to determine need, feasibility, and sustainability, period.
They would best be explored.
These categories would best be explored by a professional service.
So what do you think about the word received, 2 lines above
I
that?
don't like that.
Just leave it out?
Yeah,
Many of the ideas themselves.
correct. Semicolon.
Whoa, we're getting some heavy-duty punctuation. We're pulling the semicolon out.
That's right.
Maybe, can't that be a statement with just a period? And
How do we
then-
get into exclamation points?
And then the committee realizes several categories
lot
are beyond
That's
it.
why I'm thinking put a semicolon, because they're related clauses,
Okay.
related fragments. And you would change, at that point, you would change while, take out while, and just say the committee felt.
Well, I thought we did that.
No, you can't do that, not without adding something between themselves and the.
Well, that's why she
Okay,
wants to
fine.
put a semicolon in there.
While the committee felt it could satisfactorily explore many ideas.
The committee also realizes,
Committee also realizes.
No, they just realize.
yeah, fine.
Committee.
If we don't get this grant because of a semicolon or not, there's an issue.
That's right. We're hanging around with the wrong people.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
I don't know, but that would just be 2 sentences.
Yeah.
First, the committee felt they could satisfactorily explore many of the ideas themselves, period. We're awesome. Second, the committee realizes several categories are beyond their expertise.
At that point, then you could say, and,
In determining need, feasibility, and sustainability. So the
we need to
committee-
get in there somehow the professional service.
That's the next question.
That's under project description. We can talk about the professional service.
Susan, did you have someplace you had to be at 12?
No.
It's a good thing, Susan, because you're not gonna make it.
So you get me a little late.
I missed breakfast, I'm missing lunch.
Well, don't pass out on us, not now.
Picky point. County delegation and Board of Commissioners, should those be capitalized?
No.
Yeah, I was
Absolutely
I was
not.
gonna ask you that.
Okay. What about commissioners?
No, I was.
No, it's
I
not
was kidding.
specific.
Right,
It's non-specific.
Okay,
and I capitalized one of them, didn't I?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all right.
Well,
I can take it out.
Yeah.
Capitalize Roma.
Oh, Carroll, is that-
We're splitting.
It's at the bottom. No, go back up.
Okay.
now, here, you need more words in here, so you
Oh.
could exchange. you could-
Amanda, you're killing me.
You could put here, which includes the chair of the Carroll County Delegation, the chair of the Carroll County Board of Commissioners. That just reminds them that we're talking about Carroll County.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah,
Okay.
okay,
And Carroll would then have to be
yeah,
capitalized.
yeah. And following that sentence, it says, with the assistance of 6 committee members, which includes the chair of the county delegation, Carroll County Delegation, and the chair of the Carroll County Board of Commissioners. And it says all 6 members participate in local agriculture.
Yeah, I would take out the and.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Make a second sentence.
No,
No, we don't have to. All 6 members participate in local agriculture.
Isn't that a?
Yeah.
There's a punctuation that belongs between those two words.
Yeah, you need something besides a comma, don't you?
Isn't that
A dash or semi?
Yeah.
a dash would look cool.
I love dashes.
No.
Do we hear what we're talking about right now?
We're selling the sizzle, not the steak.
How about the Cherokee
Put an
County
exclamation
Board of
point in it.
Commissioners? Here it is.
That's what's
Because I'm above you right now.
That's
We don't
what's
have a
missing.
dash or exclamation point.
Yeah,
Let's
we
get
need some
those.
exclamation
Yeah,
points.
but
Integrated.
isn't all
Yeah.
6 members participate in local agriculture? Isn't that a complete sentence?
It is.
Could be,
It could be.
whether it is, whether
Susan, what do
it's.
you think?
I'm using a dash.
Fine.
We're getting punchy.
We are getting punchy.
Because I'm ready to about an exclamation point.
Okay, and this
Hold
is
on.
not,
Find that time, Ken.
this is one of those agricultural education centers we want to take out and just put in agricultural education.
Education, right, okay.
Did you get that, Susan? Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, get rid of the
I'm
center, yeah.
About finished.
Okay.
And get rid of "and" too, don't.
Yeah.
Where's the and I'm getting rid of?
And agricultural educational center. The categories of agricultural production or agricultural education.
Oh, take out the
Oh,
word.
and, I think it's
AN.
and.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I know.
But wait a minute, hold it right there. It says include the categories of agricultural production or agricultural education.
Yes.
I thought we were doing both of them. Now it sounds like one or the other.
Oh, maybe it should be AND instead of or.
And/or?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, okay.
They fall into
There's that
several,
No slash for now.
into the categories of agricultural production.
And or agricultural education.
Yeah, there you go.
Exclamation point.
Yeah, and agricultural education.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Actually, I think or is probably the better word there because it's one or the other, but it might be both. Can we go to lunch now?
Susan, do you feel like you're gonna get a grade on the top of this when she's
I
done?
think it's better. I felt like I was getting a grade.
Suddenly you're a senior in high school, huh?
Should we put request for whatever RFP stands for instead of just RFP?
The first one.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
Funding.
Request for proposal.
Yeah.
Parentheses, RFP.
Oh, parentheses. We got
Request
everything, we got everything in
for
there.
proposal.
People know what it means, but.
Yeah. Okay, but you didn't list the. Where did you put in someplace who's gonna do what?
Who's gonna do what?
It said the main people, remember?
I have,
Where is
under the
that?
description, the feasibility study will be conducted by a professional service with the assistance of the 6 committee members, so those are the key.
No, but up here where it says, the funding for the project will be established by June 1st. The committee's RFP will be completed by July 1st.
Mhm.
Well, she's got in the very first paragraph of the whole section, she says the study would be conducted by the service with the committee members.
Right, but someplace they asked for the key players, and we said we were gonna mention that it was going to, who was gonna do what.
Okay, I see what you're saying
That
about
the
having the.
commissioners were going to, the results, the things would be returned to the commissioners, and that, who the key players were. Project, it's under project description, that's what we're
Yeah.
on, right? Yeah.
Isn't that what the bottom of the first page of this states?
No. No,
Um,
because the committee is going to have the funding report on June 1st. The RFPs will be returned to the commissioners by July 21st. And the commissioners will pick the researcher based on the recommendations of the county administrator and the committee on August 1st. We said that where it says key players.
Yeah,
It doesn't say key players, it says something else though.
So why don't we just say the feasibility study will be conducted by professional service with the assistance of, with the commissioners reviewing?
Key people involved is what it wants to know.
Right, we've got two already, the professional service and the committee.
all we need to add in is the rest, then is the
County administrator
county
and the
administrator and
commissioners,
the
Board of Commissioners.
the full board of the commissioners.
Right, so they don't need to know who's doing what. As long as we know who's doing what.
Right.
How do you want that in there?
I don't care.
You do, it's just, you
I don't
do-
care.
You're just gonna add someplace in there, under key players, the Carroll County.
All right, hang on.
Carroll County Administrator, Carroll County Board of Commissioners.
I had an idea, I just lost it. Put it at the end.
For what?
The key players.
Including the commissioners and you. But that's not gonna happen until all of this is done, so we should include it down here at the end.
Yeah, that's fine, right?
Where are you still under project description?
Yes,
The key people involved will be the committee,
yes,
the Carroll County Administrator,
correct.
and the Carroll County Board of Commissioners.
And the professional service that is gonna do the feasibility study. But my question is, so if you wanna read this like a timeline, we have the feasibility study being conducted by a professional service with the assistance of the committee.
Mhm.
And then we have, it says, the study will determine the need, major activities will include, funding is due then, and it's at that point, we should probably put one more sentence saying, once the final report is due back on, or, I'm sorry, once the RFP submission comes back, then it goes through you and the commissioners. But that shouldn't be in the first paragraph, right?
When it comes back, it goes to them to open, then it goes to me and you, right?
That's our process.
Do we think that's really,
That's the county process.
do we really need to put that in there?
Well, I think it's important that they understand that the county administrator and the county board of commissioners are also going to be involved in this. They're going to be players in this whole setup. Because I think that adds a lot of validity to what we're asking for. You know, it's like if a kid comes up to you and asks you for $1, it's different if he comes and his mother and father are also there saying, you know, yes, he's collecting for something.
So are you the committee's mother? Is that what you're saying?
Can I have a dollar?
Okay, so how do we want to say this? I started out with, once we see where all the deadlines, the RFP submissions will be received by the Carroll County Commissioners.
Mhm.
And,
And
Once opened, reviewed,
by the committee and the Carroll County Administrator.
reviewed for a recommendation.
The recommendation will go to the commissioners.
right now, the commissioners still have it. The RFP submissions will be received by the Carroll County Commissioners, and once opened and reviewed for a recommendation,
No, let's say the RFP submissions will be received by the Carroll County Commissioners. Once opened,
They're reviewed.
and once opened, they will be reviewed
by the county administrator
Reviewed.
and the board, well, in this committee.
And the committee.
By the committee and the administrator for a recommendation. And the recommendation will be brought forward. So something of that nature, I guess.
Does that work?
Yeah. Yeah, an RFP submission will be received by the Carroll County Commissioners. Once opened, they will be reviewed by the committee and the administrator for a recommendation, and the recommendation will be brought forward.
To the Board of Commissioners. But if you want to put Carroll County Administrator too, you want to keep putting Carroll County in there so they know it's our original application. We didn't copy it from somebody. I wish we could have gotten one. That's the one we had 500 words to play with, so we got plenty of words.
This thing is gonna change.
Something like this, a little chart. What, who, when.
Where?
Why?
Oh, so we can put the timeline right on the budget? Just add it on?
No, or either
No.
there or put it in the description, project description.
I was thinking
Do charts.
timeline after the budget might be nice, because that would help clarify what they've read.
You know what I'm saying? Do you know how to do tables?
Oh, you know you can do it.
Okay, well,
You'd rather not have that?
I'm just, this might
I'm
be
so glad you ran
clearer.
our grants.
Hmm?
Who writes our grants? Each person involved?
Well, our jail grants, Kevin Warwick writes them.
Can you do, I think it's insert,
Like maybe table?
table, and I've got 3 columns here, so we got,
Excel spreadsheet?
that'll work too. Okay. So, this is
What,
the,
what,
Writing
who
a
and
grant.
when?
no, this is the activity or the task.
It's not really writing a grant.
This is writing an application.
This is the
Responsible party.
responsible party,
That's fine, that's all grants.
and this is the time frame.
Isn't that what grant writers do, the due date?
Good. I say funding notification received, it's, the funders have to notify us. We gotta notify somebody. I don't know who.
The committee?
What was that, Sandy?
Whoever is issuing, funding those grants
Mm-hmm.
has to provide notification to somebody.
Right, it's a grant award letter,
Okay. Received by,
the commissioners.
So what are we doing?
And it has to go to the grant committee for approval. Don't worry about that,
Yeah.
they'll take
Okay.
care of that. I just said that because Ed's here.
funding notification received by, all right, then that would
That's
be the
correct, right?
Carroll County Commissioners.
Mhm.
Or county commissioners.
So the responsible party is not the commissioners. What are we gonna call that?
Well, the responsible party to receive it would be the commissioners. Right?
Mhm.
Who's requesting the grant?
The county is.
The county
Yeah, it should be
is.
the commissioners then.
We are doing this work on behalf of the commissioners.
Right. were
You are
saying.
welcome in advance.
With 2 exclamation points.
There you go.
So I
At
say
least
issue
2, Ken, at least 2,
RFP,
maybe
but we
3.
haven't finalized
Can we
it.
throw an emoji in there, too?
There you go, emojis.
That's
So I've
what's
got a
missing-
couple.
That's what's missing in our report, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. Mhm.
So the commissioners are gonna issue the thing.
I got one that's
We're
been
gonna
floating
work
around
on
my
it.
head.
Yeah, I got more than one.
Okay, so we're gonna go like that?
Yeah, and we're gonna, that's gonna be done by what, July 1st?
Whatever.
Then it's the responses that we receive.
It's 1 o'clock.
What did he call the day?
He called them submissions, but to me, submission means,
Mhm.
it's not, it says RFP submission. That means you're submitting the RFP. You're responding to it, to the request. So we're getting the proposals
The bids.
The bids, thank you. That's the,
County Commissioners?
yep.
Oops.
Then I show that we have we select the researcher and we get a contract signed. You can all do that all in a week? Question mark?
Exclamation point,
Yeah.
after the question mark.
With a smile emoji.
Yeah,
County Commissioner, Commissioners?
yeah. And the signing would be done with the researcher too.
Oops, here. Just Excel.
This is all part of the key people who will be involved in this thing?
Yeah, and it's showing who, what, and when.
Okay.
And the final report is received.
Due, yeah.
Is due, yeah.
This is really, this is just the beginning of the biggie. Then
So
RFP
let's
is
go,
gonna
come
be
on,
a.
get out of there.
Let's kind of get
Okay, so now you want to take that and you want to,
Well, the funding
Can you
will
get back to
depend.
Excel?
No, the funding will be,
Well, it'll determine how broad or how narrow it is, so the less funding,
oh,
the
yeah,
broader it's gonna be.
right.
oh,
I think.
we back up.
I know, that's my favorite
Oh,
thing.
God.
Carroll.
That was so close.
Actually, if you can select that, you want to box them in. You don't have a mouse on that thing, otherwise I could do it. 'Cause I can't use those.
That, what you want me to do?
You want the grid lines.
Now, so show grid lines.
Yeah.
In view, maybe?
Page layout.
Yeah.
No. It's in Excel.
View. I think view? Oh, maybe not. No.
It's gonna be in Excel.
Oh, you gotta go to Excel.
Yeah, you gotta go to Excel.
I don't know.
Okay, go back to table. If you can get back to table. Right here. Table.
Dale, how's your cow doing?
The cow is gone. We're so busy doing the other stuff that, and we weren't getting the support. It wasn't selling a lot.
Really?
Yeah, it
It's
really
not a page
wasn't.
layout.
Oh.
So we sold her, and we're going from 65 to 200 hens.
For eggs, laying
Yeah.
hens?
And we'll probably be about 1,200 broilers this summer.
Yeah.
That's all Word.
That's weird.
And then we did,
Now, do you sell your
Might
broilers
go back to
whole
table.
or
Yeah.
do you cut up?
yeah, whole. I'll sell them, well, whole, we sell them to we can only sell them whole to restaurants and
No,
stuff.
no.
But we're gonna try parts.
That's the
A
text.
lot of
That's-
people that
yeah.
come to us want parts, they don't
Is
want
that
whole.
Excel right there?
No.
So we'll try it, see what happens.
Can you point to this and then right click?
And then we did
That's what
find
I
a
did.
Berkshire boar finally.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Worksheet object, go down
Is he
to,
really
borders and
small?
shading.
No, he's probably
Click on that.
120 pounds.
That's Word stuff.
Full
Yeah,
grown.
okay.
Close,
No,
yeah.
it isn't.
Okay,
I'm afraid mine's not good.
No.
box, borders,
Or,
cancel out
yeah,
of that.
no, not up to my standards.
Yeah.
Right click on it again.
Well, that's the thing, you get in your head what something should be,
Uh,
and it's so hard to
worksheet
find what you
object.
want. So hard. We're so picky.
But it's worth it.
Oh, yeah, in the
Okay,
end, you
there,
find what
now.
you want. You don't want to settle.
Select those three columns in the rows, down through there, and then go up to here
I think they're putting a
There.
little chart
and
An
choose
activity.
Building a
all
chart
borders.
now?
on the bottom of
Okay,
the
Okay.
and then
budget.
widen that out,
Yeah.
and that one, and this one, this first row here, highlight it, those three.
The first row?
Shall we
Well,
tell
just
them
those
to
3
go
cells.
No, I'm not,
City.
I'm voting yes on whatever
No,
Susan
no,
says.
no,
right now.
no.
She
A1, that
could
whole
go
row.
postal at any
A1,
time.
not the whole row, I'm sorry. A1 through A, through here.
No, move your finger.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Told you.
and then go to right there.
You
Look it
need to
down, fill
watch the
color.
commissioner's tape from Government Oversight of her presentation.
And
Yeah, I will.
choose
It was just
a
amazing.
light
It was
gray
very
or a
good.
light blue, one of the,
I
something
can't
light.
wait for the snow to go to go out.
Okay, and
see
then
where
click
these
bold.
Right, yeah.
Paths go.
Yeah, I wanna go look at it
Okay.
too.
You know, some I suppose are grown up in the room.
Okay,
Yeah.
it just sets it off.
Those grid lines, we don't want to show those.
No, you don't want those, so you can come down here and grab this.
And shrink it?
Yeah, try and shrink it up.
What are we talking about now?
No clue.
I don't know, but things are shrinking
No,
and
no, no.
growing.
We're 3 hours in. I do know it's opening day, so it's a national holiday for me, so.
Opening day of,
What?
Sucks.
The Red Sox.
Why is that
It's
dark?
opening day.
oh, I thought, opening day of fishing is Sunday, isn't it?
Is that
Yes,
extra dark, that one there?
Yeah.
that is, but
do a
baseball
print
will be
preview.
before fishing.
Are they playing, well, no, they've been playing in Florida.
Yeah,
Yeah.
spring training, they
Spring,
count
yeah.
starting
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
And they're still in Florida, they're in Tampa too.
Tampa Bay.
Preview is somewhere here, right?
They'll be home next Thursday.
With snow.
Right.
I thought it was gonna rain. Today it's gonna rain.
No,
Tonight's
30% chance.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, not worried about it.
Usually it's, oh, you
It's
don't,
been warm
I gotta get
all
my-
what's
weekend.
that one there?
Yeah, it is.
What's
I gotta
that
get my
little
chicken
guy right
coop
there? Is
done.
that a new?
Are you gonna make it, permanent?
No, it's on blocks. That way I can
Oh,
remove
yeah,
it.
yeah, okay.
I saw
Right-click this again.
a beautiful chicken house built on it was an old
The object.
house trailer
Go
frame.
back to it.
Just
Yeah.
the old
Edit it.
frame. And
Okay,
they
so
built
now,
a chicken house with
select
little
those.
doors and stuff. And what
The
they
whole
do
grid
is they
there,
go
that-
around,
yeah,
they
that guy,
just take
and
it
then
out in
down,
the field,
and then
run a
right-click.
portable fence around
Yeah.
it. And then when
Copy.
they had it kind of cleaned up there,
Yeah.
they
Go
just
back.
pack them up at night and move them down the road and put another.
Yeah, we have
And,
these
uh,
geodesic domes
delete that
that
guy.
we use, and we
Yeah,
move
you're
them
gonna
every
paste
day
it.
for the broilers. For the hens, we're
There
gonna
you
do
go.
these little tunnels.
Wow, that's
They're
cool.
gonna be like this, and we're gonna aim
Some
them
of that, I suppose.
in different
Yeah, you
portions. And we'll
can.
do that
Just drag
portable
them.
fencing
Yep,
around
yeah,
each portion
grab
of the
this
fence, but they'll
whole-
have protection
this-
going back and forth.
That plus sign, and just move it
Oh
over.
yeah, little tunnels like this with wire fence
Oh,
and
good.
plastic frame, like a little tiny high tunnel, but long, so they can go to different areas of
And
the
if you
pasture
take
at
this
different
whole
times,
and-
and we can guide them to where they're going.
See if you can grab that corner there and widen it out.
Yeah.
That'll get this up.
Yeah, lots of ideas. It always
I don't know
takes
if you
this to get
can.
it done.
Yeah, what about the old bucket and scratch feed and
I know, right?
tick,
Yeah.
tick, tick, tick.
Not anymore.
Can you
It's
grab
gonna-
it?
That's moving that.
Hmm.
Well, it'll probably be fine.
That's not very
It's
encouraging, you
fine.
say probably.
It's fine. But does that get the whole point across?
Yes.
Okay? No, no, no.
Exclamation point.
Exclamation point.
Another thing is, you've got your top, you've got your text
Yeah.
coming in here,
But you
right?
wanna have that and that?
Sure, why not?
The restaurant at the nursing home closes at 2.
Put them together?
Just,
Okay, you wanna just take it out?
no, you can stay there. I don't care now at this point, I just wanna be done. I thought it was fine before. You want that underneath it? We're looking at it's now a table, it was a paragraph. Funding for the project will be established by June 1st. Committee's request for proposal will be completed by July 1st, blah, 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 blah. And then we just made a table. So
Great.
it's 3 columns, task, responsible, due date, the 5 tasks.
After all that time you just put into it, I'm not gonna say I don't like it, so don't worry about it.
Are you
So take that
gonna
out.
leave, are you gonna leave the paragraph in also?
Well, that's what I'm asking, what do you want?
I think probably.
And you want it underneath the table?
You put that, no, you put the table on the
The third sheet.
budget sheet?
No.
No,
Oh,
Let's put it right in here.
you put it right in the middle?
yeah, right in the tab, right in the project description. What is after that? What's this thing?
Yeah, just put it
Okay,
after
I would
this.
put- I would put
Right
this
underneath the
stuff-
funding, right here.
Right here, after the table.
This spot?
Yeah, right
The-
underneath
These
that is
two
where the,
paragraphs.
Yep.
Is where the
Those two
table is.
In
paragraphs
which
after the-
category?
under the project description.
Okay.
Page 2,
Yeah, that's the one that had lots of.
up
extra
above where it
words.
says timeliness.
Yeah.
You gotcha.
Because see, this is the summary of it, and then here you've got some more detail about it.
What's wrong with that?
It's be,
F, M, and F.
looks good.
You better say that, it's your idea.
All right, let's print it. Send it.
We were on 2 pages, now we're on 3.
Is
Can
that a
you, can you
problem?
close up?
No,
Oh.
not
Can you
necessarily.
close up paragraphs or something?
No, we're good.
No, it's just because we added.
Margins?
we
We're
just
good.
added
Yeah,
that.
At this
Yeah.
point, we are good.
What's the number of words, you know, in
Doesn't-
that one paragraph?
It's less than 500.
Yeah.
Oh, it's less than 500.
Way less than 500.
Okay.
What's lucky if it's 180.
Yeah, we're good.
What do they do if we go 501? Knock off the last word?
There you go.
206.
Oh, good.
206.
You get 5
That's
points
perfect.
deducted from your,
Just send
Totally.
it. Send it right now, don't even ask. Yes.
Well, no.
Whoops, I
have
didn't
to
mean
put
to
on the
send it
portal
already.
and, Probably be able to just cut and paste it, but
I'm hoping you can.
so am I.
now this is the project description that we've just
Yeah.
changed the format, okay?
Mhm.
Okay.
Anything else?
I make a motion, we accept,
Well, what about timeliness? We
I-
finish that?
let me finish.
Okay,
I
go
make a
ahead.
motion, we accept the application as written.
So everybody's comfortable with the timeliness
Let's get a
and
second
the
first.
results?
Second the motion.
We need a second. Okay, and then discussion.
Susan seconded.
Oh, good. Now discussion.
Okay, so everybody's has had a chance to read the timeliness and the results, and they're comfortable with it as is?
Yes.
Okay.
That was a disapproving okay, but okay.
Okay.
If you think so.
Reluctant. Didn't it sound reluctant to you, Dale?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so we're ready for a vote
Yes.
to basically approve the application as presented. But we haven't seen the last final changes.
Well, you've actually heard them, so.
It's the same, no info changes, just the format in which it was
Just-
given.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Okay.
Can I make a motion to adjourn now?
Well, hold it here now. So basically, what we have just done is, Susan is now gonna be sending this to the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation as a done document. Okay?
Does that thing require a signature from anybody?
It might.
I don't know. I mean,
I didn't see a signature on there.
I didn't either, but I think we want to
well,
indicate
well,
who's
actually,
sending
if we
it.
got the password, that should be enough. That's the credentials to get in, right?
That's the county's,
Yeah.
yes.
So they know it's coming from.
Yeah, they know it's
Okay.
coming from.
All right,
Okay.
all right, so, just we understand, so now Susan's gonna be sending that along. As far as this committee is concerned, that is a completed application.
Well, yeah, we just voted on it.
Okay, all right.
Now can I make a motion to adjourn?
Yes,
I make a
I have a question. Are we having a meeting tomorrow?
no. Unless you want to meet.
No, no, I was gonna make a motion, we don't have one tomorrow. If we're not scheduled, that's good.
This is our Friday meeting, and the reason we met today was because tomorrow was the deadline to get the application in, and they wanted to give us a little more wiggle
Well, I'm
room.
glad, because you normally meet at 3, you would never have made it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a motion made to
That was
adjourn.
your
There's a
copy.
second. You seconded that, Susan?
Did.
All those in favor?
Okay.
And you're all set, Susan. You've got everything you need now to send that along.
Yep.
Could I ask if, would you, after that is completed, would you just email the committee that it is gone, it's done?
I will.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-oh.
And the final.